604. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane off and running. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing, getting you ready for a busy Friday, taking you into the weekend the right way. And when I say the right way, I mean all the way down to the temperature, starting off at 50 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Yes, it is a chilly morning. Yes, the World War II unit was pumping up in my office this morning. Not cold enough to bring the World War II unit into the studio, but definitely had a pump in the office this morning. All right, y'all. We do have a busy show. Weekend stacked up with sports, not just LSU, not just Southern, not just the Saints. Men's basketball was at it last night. We'll get into all that in our sports segment. And then in the 8 o'clock hour, Cade Voisin's coming by to talk high school football playoffs. But before we get into anything else, you know how we do. We start with top stories and trending.
Number 5.
Prominent Baton Rouge defense attorney Louis Unglesby alleges his client, former Central Police Lieutenant Huey Haley, was unjustly targeted. Quote, "The charges at Central against my client, Huey Haley, are ill-founded," Unglesby said. "We don't agree that he did anything improper whatsoever." The Haley was arrested at the end of October for allegedly falsifying pay records for over a year. According to the arrest warrant, Haley reported nearly 350 hours that he didn't work, took home an extra $7,600 for it. Unglesby says Haley was working those hours and claims he can prove it in court, but declined to provide any further information at that time.
Number 4.
Oh, by the way, that was from our news partners at WBRZ. Members of LSU student government have passed a resolution asking the school to bar the display of live tigers during sporting events, regardless of whether the governor wants to restore the tradition, the university's student newspaper reported. Student Senate resolution was sponsored by 15 senators, passed unanimously Wednesday night, according to the Reveille. The non-binding resolution will be forwarded to the LSU president, that would be William Tate, LSU athletic director Scott Woodward, and Governor Jeff Landry. Landry, well, we all know what happened last Saturday with Omar.
Number 3.
East Baton Rouge District Attorney Hiller Moore is proposing a property tax on voters' ballots this spring to bolster his office. Grabbing this one from The Advocate. They reported a notice was posted for a public hearing to consider taking action on a new ad valorem tax. That meeting's to be held at 5:30 p.m. Monday on the 5th floor of City Hall. The amount to be proposed has not yet been determined, but Moore intends to have it on the voters' ballot for the May 3rd, 2025 election.
Number 2.
The man accused or arrested for a fatal nightclub shooting back in April has been formally charged with murder. Marquise Payne, 21 years old, was arrested back in July for the death of 26-year-old Timotheus Bowie Jr. at the Palace nightclub back on April 1st. On Thursday, an indictment was filed in the murder case. BRPD said Brown was brought from the Scenic Highway nightclub to the hospital shortly after midnight when Payne shot him. Brown then died in the hospital. Payne was also among 5 arrested back in August after police raided multiple homes suspected to be part of a drug ring.
Number 1.
Look out for right lane closures happening on I-12 West from I-10 to the 10-12 merge all the way up to College Drive tonight, according to the DOTD. The closures are going to happen from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. Workers will be installing temporary striping onto the road as part of the College Drive flyover project. What's trending, John?
Well, the question is Bobby Jindal going to be the president? Is going to be in President Trump's cabinet? What am I doing, bro?
I don't know.
What is going on?
It's Friday.
It's
We're not
too
done
early
yet.
for this.
We got
Way too
2
early.
hours and 51 minutes left of show.
Way too early for this.
I know.
But rumors are swirling as he was in numerous photos at Mar-a-Lago yesterday.
Yeah, showing up in Mar-a-Lago with Sapria. They had the big gala or whatever last night. But the rumors are all over the place now that he might be part of Trump's cabinet. I don't think so, but I mean, stranger things have happened.
Yeah, who knows at this point, right?
Okay, I want to put an open poll up on the Facebook Live feed.
Yeah.
Why did David Vitter lose in 2015? Open poll. Whatever your answer is, no wrong answers here, okay? No wrong answers. Why did David Vitter lose in 2015? I want your feedback on that. Yeah. And as we accumulate the feedback, I'll kind of pull back the curtain a little bit and talk about why I want your feedback. If you follow me on Twitter, you probably already know. But open poll up on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Why did David Vitter lose in 2015?
President-elect Donald Trump says he will nominate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to lead the Department of Health and Human Services.
Yeah.
While we're talking about that.
We talked about Matt Gaetz yesterday.
Oh.
I think this is the second one that might be unconfirmable. Robert Kennedy was very anti-vaccine when it came to COVID.
Right.
And that's cool. Everybody had their take on that because that was a very, very new vaccine. But there are numerous vaccines out there that have time on their side. And he's very much against them as well. It's going to be it's going to be an interesting process to see if he's confirmable or not for this post. We clearly see why Trump is pointing him towards this. There will be a complete overhaul of the department if he were in charge of it. So I don't know.
Shaking things up for sure.
Yeah.
For
And
sure.
if you are a quote unquote bureaucrat, you should be shaking yourself.
Yeah. Oh man, you know who else should be shaking?
What's that?
Jake Paul. Mike Tyson slapped him last night in their final photo op before tonight's big fight.
Okay. Earlier in the week, we had a guy on who's a lobbyist for DraftKings.
Yeah.
I need to talk to him. I got to track his number back down. Here's why. I can't find the Tyson Paul fight on DraftKings.
I wonder why. I mean, would it be?
And last I saw, and this wasn't from an app. This was from a news story. Last I saw, Paul was a plus 240.
Yeah.
Or no, a minus 280. And Tyson was a plus 240.
Yeah, I know we reported on it last week.
Yeah, the odds. I mean, Paul's the clear-cut favorite, right?
Right.
So, there's a lot of if you follow along on different social media outlets and whatnot, a lot of people are saying it's staged, it's rigged. Tyson's going to take a dive.
I don't know, man. That slap looked really personal. I think
it did.
I think
Jake Paul's face got really red really fast. Yeah. Yes. But you have to take into account Mike Tyson is set for the rest of his life beyond compare if he takes a dive.
Yeah.
Millions upon millions upon millions of dollars to go out and take a dive.
Yep.
And nobody's going to fault the 58-year-old man for losing a boxing match to somebody in their 20s who, to Jake Paul's credit, the dude has put the work in.
Yeah.
Right? He's 10-1 right now, 6 by knockout, I believe. And it wouldn't be that unheard of.
Yeah.
So
and even if Tyson loses, I mean, he still goes out the champ. Like, honestly, he's the people's champ.
Well,
like
50-6. He's the greatest of all time.
Exactly.
But you have to question the greatest of all time if he takes a dive to Jake Paul.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali would never take a dive. I mean, Tyson is the greatest of all time, but I'm not of the generation that grew up with Muhammad Ali. So I can't make a side-by-side comparison.
Right.
I can only know the fury that was in the ring when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
And if that slap was anything to expect from the fight, now the legitimacy of the fight, who knows? But that slap just seemed like, okay, we might get an unhinged Mike Tyson in that ring. He's just going out for blood. So I don't know. Time will tell. So I guess we'll be talking about that on Monday, right?
Oh, most definitely. And I'll be producing the LSU women's game tonight.
Yeah.
So hopefully there's a big card in front of it because it's going to be on Netflix.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's a big card in front of it so that I can get home in time.
Yes.
Like let the women take care of Mary State and then get home and then watch Tyson whip this kid's ass. It's 6:13. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP.
Yeah.
Quick break. Sports is next.
Sorry, y'all. I don't mean to come in. I probably should have hung out outside the studio.
No, what's up?
Can I borrow headphones?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. How you doing?
I'm good. How y'all been? No, I left my laptop bag that I use my personal shit for radio, so I don't use my rec equipment. And I go to grab, and I'm like, I left my bag. With my headphones and everything, and my laptop. So I'm gonna wing it to my phone. So grab. Do you have an adapter too? That is okay. I know I left all my shit. I come barging in the studio like I'm doing. Like I own the place.
You're fine. I was worried that I had booked you to talk about zoo lights, and I'm like, oh shit, did I book her to?
Why line her up with zoo lights? Yeah, that'll work. I could probably get away with bringing roses. Adapter. I have to go find it. Adapter. No, that ain't the right one. No. Or is that? I'm gonna figure it out, y'all. I'll come back. I'm gonna go read Brittany Rose's stuff and see. Y'all, I cannot believe. And I live in Terra, so it makes no sense to go home. I'll find somebody's headphones around here. How y'all been, y'all?
Doing good.
Nice and cool this morning. That's how I've been.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
So you know how we turn to the Metro Council for answers to everything under the sun? Well, apparently that includes information on the Tyson fight. So shout out to the Mayor Pro Tem, Brandon Knoll, for forwarding an article that says it's not available in this state.
Oh. Well, that's interesting. Is that common for it not to be?
I don't know. I've never tried to bet boxing before. You could bet UFC on there all the time, every damn week.
Yet.
How early is too early to text Taylor? Not Taylor in that used to produce the show, y'all.
I was gonna say I always get confused when we talk about
Taylor Rain in sales. Is it too early right now?
I'd be like, my table, man.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? 6:30. I'm gonna go upstairs when we have Tim Matheson. I'm gonna go see if it's in his office. If he brought it back but just forgot to bring it down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to that slap, man, that I don't know why that it felt so good to see that.
But it seems so okay.
But
it seemed fake afterwards because he's like, now it's personal and you gotta die.
Everything about Jake Paul makes it seem like it's a gimmick. It's just
right.
It's
because he's
legitimate.
an actor. Because he's on a Disney Channel.
Every time he speaks, it's like, okay, this isn't legitimate.
And I also think he should have to shave his beard.
Yeah.
Why have a cushion?
Yeah.
Why allow your opponent to have a cushion on their face to absorb the impact?
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I've never thought that was. I've always wondered why, if you're allowed to have a beard, why wouldn't everybody have a beard? A big old bushy.
You know, that's one thing I did not consider. I did not consider this whole time.
You got to,
who
16-ounce
does
glove.
fight with a beard? I don't know.
Oh no. 617 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. No way we're getting to everything in this segment, y'all. We got way too much sports to cover, so it's going to spill over into our next segment. Let's go ahead and do this sequentially and start off with LSU basketball. Tigers were at it last night. Matt McMahon's Tigers were in Manhattan, Kansas, to take on the Kansas State. Oh shoot, what did I just do here? Well, I'm not going to have a box score for you because that just shut down. I can tell you that LSU went up to Kansas State and brings home a 75-65 win. Team sounded good on the radio. I didn't see it. Well, it was on ESPN Plus, so you couldn't see it on TV. But did they sound good on the radio as far as just crispness of the team for this stage of the season. Let's not forget that it was about this time last season that LSU found themselves on the losing end at home to Nicholls State. So, the college basketball season is a process, right? And part of that process, you've got growth together. And in the nature of college basketball with the draft and the transfer portal and all that is early on in the season, there's about meshing and gelling and whatnot. And at 3-0, they're looking about as strong as can be. K-State, the Wildcats are at 2-1 right now, following the 76-65 win by the Tigers. For LSU, they were led in scoring by Cam Carter. After that, who I believe had 20. After that, I don't have it memorized, and if I had a box score, it would help. Moving over from my apologies. I also know that the LSU men, their next game is this one. I should have by memory. It's against Charleston Southern. I think it's Tuesday night. And whatever night the 19th is, it's going to be at 7 p.m. That'll be on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. LSU's women are back at it tonight. They will be taking on Murray State in the Maravich Assembly Center. That's a 7 p.m. tip-off right there. All right, all the football, Southern, LSU, Saints. We're going to get to that in our next segment because there's just not enough time to cover all of it right. Oh, there's my box score. There's not enough time to cover all of it right now because we got to get you to the Fox Business Report. I'll have traffic for you in just a minute. Then we'll continue on. Hey, Mike Johnson holds on to his gig as speaker. We'll talk about that next as well on Talk 107.3. Okay. So before, I'm not even on Facebook yet, but good morning, Christy. Thank you again. Let me thank you publicly here for waking me up this morning. Slept right through my alarm. It's just been too many nights this week where I've only gotten like 2.5 hours sleep. Got home from there's another axe retreat going on right now. And I rode the bus with the fellas on the way down there. So I didn't get home until 10 o'clock ish. Oldest daughter was out babysitting. She didn't get home till 11. So, and I just laid down in bed. I was wired until about 1:30, 2 o'clock before I even fell asleep. So it was 4:40 this morning. My wife was like, "Aren't you supposed to be up?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Didn't hear either alarm. The alarm that goes off at 3:45 or the alarm that goes off at 4 is a backup. Didn't hear either one. So thank you, sweetheart. Lifesaver today.
Oh man. Freaking moon, dude.
And he's so selective in what he wants to pay attention to because Cassidy's been supporting Trump for like the last year and a half now. Now there is a serious discussion. Bill Cassidy's gonna be on with us later on today. Mm-hmm. I don't want to talk about it today, but I do want to have the discussion at some point of how do you reconcile voting to impeach him twice, and still supporting him. So. All right, time to head back to the Shaw Bills Tire Traffic Center, see what's going on out there. Actually, not very much. Volume is lighter than normal on I-12 westbound coming in from Livingston Parish. 12 westbound, you're even back by Denham Springs by Range Avenue. It's not all that bad. As yet, it's still early. I-10 westbound coming in from Ascension Parish is looking great this morning. The I-10 eastbound coming across from the west side, coming across from West Baton Rouge Parish, is wide open as well, and so is 110. No incidents to report. And on 110, there was some congestion reported around 30 minutes ago by Capitol Access Road on 110 southbound. But I'm zooming in on the map, and I'm not seeing anything there. I just know that it's on the Baton Rouge traffic website. So if you see it, if you're headed that way, you might run into a little bit, but I'm not seeing it. Meanwhile, surface streets, there's one accident to report. It has been moved off the roadway. It's about 15 minutes ago. Florida at North Foster. Florida at North Foster is being worked right now, and that's the only blip on the radar as far as your traffic is concerned from the Shaw Bills Tire Traffic Center. .625, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. All right, we covered basketball in the latter part in the last segment. Excuse me. Covered basketball in that last segment. Let's go ahead and move over to football. LSU will be back at it tomorrow. Tigers looking to snap what is now a 2-game losing streak. They'll be in Gainesville to take on the Florida Gators. LSU is ranked 113th in the country in rush offense. As it stands right now, Caden Durham with 460 yards. Just 460 yards with 3 games to go in the season. That's rough, to say the least. Offensive tackler Emory Jones says they're doubling down on their effort to get that ground game going.
I mean, now how we're looking at it, we call it run play. Everybody's biting down on their chin strap and make sure that we make it work no matter what happens post-snap, pre-snap, no matter, what's called, we're trying to make sure that run game's going. So, I mean, when we call it run play, we're biting down on our chin strap, we're getting low, we're getting gritty, and we're trying to make it work.
And how about that guy behind Emory Jones? That would be Garrett Nussmeier, who has had a rough go of it the Alabama game was rough. The second half of the Texas A&M game was rough. And it has been a rough go lately for Garrett.
He's been taking it like a champ. That's our leader. That's the leader of the team, the leader of the offense, and he's been leading. He's been making sure everybody has good energy, positive energy, and everybody's attacking every day, and we love him for that.
Kickoff is slated. Well, it's listed as 2:30, but it's a 2:45 kickoff. It will be on ABC as number 22 LSU is at Florida. Meanwhile, Southern University will be at home for a second week in a row. They'll be kicking off against Arkansas Pine Bluff. That's a 2 p.m. start time there. Southern, don't look now. Southern is 5-1 in the SWAC right now. They're putting themselves together a really good little season going on. They're 6-4 overall, 5-1 in the SWAC. It's always tough to gauge anybody who's out of the Power Four because you're playing up when you're out of conference. So once you get in conference, it's time to start dialing in, and that's what they're looking at right now. 5-1 overall. Meanwhile, fast forward to Sunday, Jameis Winston makes his return to the Superdome, which ought to be awesome. It's going to be a different scenario because he's playing for somebody else, but everybody in New Orleans still loves him. Winston spent 4 seasons in New Orleans and really could not stay healthy the entire time. He had one season where he started off behind Drew Brees. Then when he took over the reins, they were winning, and then he got hurt. And then it just didn't pan out from there. I mean, it was a 1-year prove-it contract turned into 4 years in New Orleans. But safety Tyrann Mathieu says he's looking forward to Jameis coming back.
It'll be fun to see him. He knows us. We know him. I'm pretty sure it'll be somewhat of a homecoming. You know what I mean? A lot of people in New Orleans love the guy. We do too. But yeah, I'm expecting a shot first play of the game, James. So throw it up there. You know what I mean?
I like it. Matthew's like, come my way. Honey Badger mentality still there. Meanwhile, on the Saints front line, Eric McCoy has been out. He was on IR after injuring his groin in after it was the third game of the season when he went out, second or third game of the season. Anyway, McCoy is expected to be back this week. Says he's returning just in time to take on a very good defensive line.
Obviously, you got Myles Garrett, elite player in the NFL. Dalvin Tomlinson, an elite run stopper. Shelby Harris, been in the league a long time, another really good run stopper. And they do get after people. So it'll be a challenge for us. Like, we're going to step up to the plate, and all five of us are going to have to play well and play in cohesion for us to have a successful game.
So if you could rewind all the way back to the first 2 games of the season, they really were. The offense was firing on all cylinders. Seeing these guys get themselves back together, look, I'm not expecting world beaters for the remainder of the season, and I'm not even expecting the playoffs at this point. But, man, that taste of what could have been, right? Getting that back in order will be a good thing. We got news coming up in just a second. Let me give you the rundown for the whole show. Actor Tim Matheson has a new book out. You may have heard of Tim Matheson. He was way back in the day. He was Eric Stratton on Animal House. He's got a new book out called Damn Glad to Meet You, which, if you're a fan of Animal House, you're familiar with that line. He was also Vice President John Hoynes on The West Wing. He's done a number of different things. 7 decades in Hollywood. I got the chance to catch up with him the other day. We're going to play that back for you in our next segment. Also on the show this morning, 7:15, Sid Edwards going to be on your ballot in December. The leading vote getter in the mayor's race. We got Sid at 7. We got Coach at 7:15. Julie Emerson talking about HB1 at 7:35. Senator Bill Cassidy at 8:05. Cade Voisin at 8:15. And then Chicken Shack is in for Foodie Friday. Right now, here's news. Hold on to those Mike Johnson cuts. We're going to come back to him at 6:50. Was it the same caller as always? Oh, okay. What was he saying? Oh, okay. Well, if you can't spend 5 minutes on hold, the production of the show is the most important thing. Yep, no, that was the right call. Okay. I bet he was answering the Jendal question. The why did David Vitter lose question.
Yeah, you can almost tell by the tone of voice with the callers.
Oh, always.
He didn't
And you don't want to
like
be
there was any
shitty
animosity.
to real contributors.
Yeah,
I
like he was really
I want to go so far as to say, like, if we put callers back on the air, I would really like a spot where there's like, because when I call for them, they're not necessarily always there.
yeah,
Like, you wake up on a random Thursday and you're shaving, you're getting your English muffin with jam on it or whatever. Like, you're in a hurry. You're getting the kids, trying to get the kids out the door, get on the way to school, get on the way to work.
yeah.
Sitting on hold for a call-in radio show is not a priority in 2024.
Right. Well, whoever it was, if you are watching on Facebook, give us a call back.
Yeah.
We're on break, and we're about to have an interview, so we got time. We got time. We can take a call. Man, my freaking shin's been killing me since yesterday.
Like shin splints?
It's killing me. So I just found out, and I'm thinking, like, man, what did I do? Did I hit my shin on something? Like, what happened? Am I just a random pain? And then I just went to cross my legs, and I realized, oh, that's what it is. First world problems, man. Sit here crossing your legs like underneath the chair, and it's pulling, like my left leg is basically pulling on my right leg. It's like, dang. Not even realizing it. Crap.
What are we talking about here? Did I head and tail that Tim Matheson interview? Is it tight?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. I'm about to say I did not.
Only 2 comments so far.
No, it sounds tight.
Troy, he did. He said, damn glad to meet you at the beginning of the interview. All right, so I've got 3 comments thus far this morning, and none of them are about the poll question. They're all Renee says good morning, so good morning, Renee. And then Troy says, did I start the interview by saying damn glad to meet you? And Byron says, I remember this line of this day. The issue here is not whether we broke a few rules or took a few liberties with our female party guests. We did. It's a great line. Well delivered, too. How about 50 degrees to start off your morning, huh? I'll take it. Just in time for high school football playoffs, right? How's the rest of that forecast looking? Here's Emma Cade Cowan. All right. Guys, I got to run upstairs before I send an angry text. I need to make sure that I'm not sending it in with misinformation. So I'll be right back. Vice President John Hoynes. Tim Matheson is the author of Damn Glad to Meet You. Vice President Hoynes, welcome aboard. How are you, man?
Hi, Brian, and welcome back. Hello, Baton Rouge.
Glad to have you on this morning. Glad to be talking about this book. Obviously, I'm a huge West Wing fan, so I want to talk about that a little bit. But I want to start with the book because your career spans so much more than just that one role. I mean, as an award-winning role, is an awesome role, but it was just one of many. So tell me about putting pen to paper. What was that like walking back through your entire career?
Well, it was great. It was kind of like I'm not Catholic, but I imagine it was sort of like going to confession. Mm-hmm. You come up to confronting your failures and your successes and the moments where you didn't perform as well as you hoped you would in a crisis, perhaps as a human being. And so I think, that's what I wanted to put down, not just for acting or not just showbiz stories, but just the humanity part of it. What I learned from all these great people like Lucille Ball and Jackie Gleason and Bob Hope and people from that generation and Clint Eastwood and also just a fellow a little younger than me was Kurt Russell. they were so instrumental in teaching me that life and art is all about teamwork, and it's about getting the collective together and working together with people rather than making yourself the star or what you're doing more important than anybody else. I think that's the big lesson that I got and I wanted to share with everybody.
Well, and that it's pervasive throughout the book as well, but there's a whole lot of like, the more things change, the more they stay the same, especially when it comes to different, productions in Hollywood and whatnot. You mentioned Dick Van Dyke and Lucille Ball, but your career has spanned generations where I perfect example. You work with both Belushi and Farley. Like, there's a lot of the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yes. I mean, Chris Farley was such a fan of John Belushi. He worshipped him. And I went for a meeting on Black Sheep, and, Farley wasn't supposed to be there. And all of a sudden he bangs in the room and he jumps in, hugs me, and he said, I love you in Animal House, and we'd be great in this movie together. And I was just in there for a meeting to see if they thought I was right for this. And by the time Chris left the room, I was cast, and we were brothers. I mean, he was one of those people that was just, he couldn't stop entertaining people around him. We did a big scene with 150 background artists for a speech I was supposed to be giving as a political candidate, and he entertained them between takes. He did an impromptu striptease and just had everybody laughing and feeling, again, part of the team.
Absolutely. We're talking with Tim Matheson. So he wrote the book, Damn Glad to Meet You, My 7 Decades in the Hollywood Trenches. Hard to believe it's 7 decades there, Tim. But coming around with, I know.
I rounded up. I'm only 6.5.
Oh, that's fair. You don't look a day over, but how did you, coming down on the title, Damn Glad to Meet You. I mean, that takes us all the way back to the Eric Stratton days.
Well, it was just actually sort of the first line I had, in the movie, or one of the first. And it was just, I was looking for something. And I also used, fortunately, Rick Merowitz did the cover artwork, which he also did the cover, the poster for Animal House.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a great National Lampoon artist. And so it was a through line from Animal House, and it was a line that Eric Stratton had, and it was a very recognizable line. And it's one of the most common things that people say to me when they see me and recognize me on the street, say from Animal House, they go, "Damn glad to meet you," and so I figured, well, it's sort of in the zeitgeist. I think I'll use it because I am damn glad to meet you.
Let's talk about West Wing real quick. Vice President John Hoynes. Was there any way of knowing what y'all were putting together when you were putting it together?
I honestly, no. When I went in, and I thought, God, this is going to be the most boring show on TV. I can't believe this TV show about the President of the United States and the West Wing is going to be like, oh, God. Because television at that time was not very exciting. Yeah. And then I started, when I sat down, I was cast, and then I was sat down at
fine now.
You never got the script in advance. I sat down at the table reading the first episode I was in, and he looked at me and said, Aaron looked at me and said, Hoynes, his first dialogue is in French. And I laughed because I thought he was having me on. And he said, no, I'm not kidding. It's in French. And Vice President Hoynes was speaking French to a French ambassador and French members of the press to, one, impress them, show them how smart he was and how, internationally minded he was, and how he should probably be president.
Well, and there was a lot to that. Did you know that the character would develop the way the character did over the course of those 7 seasons?
Well, we went to great lengths, and one of the things that Aaron Sorkin does is there's tremendous depth to every character, and there's also a tremendous backstory. And it was hinted at that he was loosely based on LBJ with JFK. Is that like, here's this old politician that was, speaker. I mean, he was not Speaker of the House, but he was President pro tem of the Senate, and he should be president. And then this guy Bartlett sort of lucked out and got the nomination by accident. And I'm there, and I gave him the South. I helped win the election, and I'm treated like an outsider. And so there was that from the beginning. And so they always, they would never let Bartlett never let points come on to the inside and be a good guy.
Well, and then the layers that added on from, announcing that he'd run for re-election, and then, the scandals that come into it. I mean, you kept pivoting and adapting with the character.
Yes. And you'd never know. I mean, it was always just a big surprise, and you couldn't believe Aaron. The scripts just got better and better and better every week, and he's a master storyteller, and it was one of the highlights of my life to work with him.
And one of the many stories that's part of Damn Glad to Meet You, My 7 Decades in the Hollywood Trenches. He is Tim Matheson. Man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate a couple minutes this morning. Thanks for the book. Thanks for the work. Thanks for all of it.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks so much.
645 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. The book is called Damn Glad to Meet You. It's a fun read, to be sure. He does get a little bit deep in a couple of the chapters where he's talking about a few different stages of his career, but it overall fun read. Man, we got a minute till I got a minute here. Coming up after the break, Mike Johnson holds on to his gig as the Speaker of the House. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. If we have time in this hour, we'll dive into the session a little bit, but really looking forward to next hour. The biggest bill of this session is HB1, put forth by State Representative Julie Emerson. She's going to join us at 7:35 to talk about it. And, there's a lot of moving parts here. It's hitting a couple snags. We'll chat with Representative Emerson next hour. Right now, though, before we get you to our break, got to remind you about the folks over at Mathern's. Holidays are upon us, y'all. Not just talk about the big Thanksgiving Day dinner and the big Christmas dinner. I'm talking, of course, about the entire season. What have you got going on? Office Christmas party? Whether you are doing a little Friendsgiving coming up, whatever the case might be, go ahead and lighten your load a little bit when it comes to the prep work in the kitchen and hit up Matherns.com. Matherns.com. They've got the order forms up right now to take care of you throughout the holidays, throughout Thanksgiving, throughout all the Christmas parties, throughout Christmas Day. You can order the entire meal, get yourself fully catered, or just get a little bit of help along the way by knocking out a few of the sides. Hit them up at Matherns.com. I'll probably be swinging by Matherns for dinner tonight since I'm working LSU basketball, because they're right there across the street from Tiger Stadium in the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center. It's Matherns. Woo! Who the hell is Jeff Cortez? FBI, SSA, supervisory special agent with the FBI. Went to Steubenville? Studied at LSUS? Bro, this post. Holy shit, y'all. It says politics is a dirty game where decent people are manipulated into believing things that manipulators don't even believe. This isn't what a handoff to Hitler and the fascists looks like. You've been, and it's a picture of Biden and Trump together. It says you've been lied to. It's not right, but it's how the game and the voters are played. Then he goes on to make a much longer post that says, some are learning for the first time how this game of politics is played. I don't say this sarcastically. It really sucks. Some probably feel a little foolish and a lot embarrassed. You were sold lies, then you spread them with vigor because you believe them to be true. They played on your passion. They pulled the strings on topics you care about. Why wouldn't you buy it? Who would lie about such things? Now the people who sold you on those lies have left you alone holding the bag. These master manipulators have moved on to cocktail parties and social events where they talk about how things will be better for the party next time, unless they take a great lobbying job they've just been offered. This happens to both sides. They need you all to hate each other. But these clowns at the top don't even hate each other. It's all a game. Not saying you shouldn't play if you want, just saying your mental health depends on knowing that you know none of what you're fed is real.
Okay.
Oh, shoot. Were we that far over on?
But it didn't, you weren't though. You were only a couple, maybe 2 or 3 seconds, but yet somehow, honestly,
Okay, are we going to be able to hit the spot?
We should be able to hit it.
Okay.
At least by 51.
All right.
No, even before that, we'll be able to hit it. Yeah, it looks like we're going to hit it right at 51. But no, you weren't off like that. You went off like 2 or 3 seconds.
Okay, Byron says perceived moral high ground on the JBE Vitter race in 2015. That'll work. Wonder how his life would have turned out if Fawn Leibowitz hadn't died in that chem lab explosion. You know, you got those 4 speaker cuts? 652 Talk 1073 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We're going to get you in the next hour. We're going to take deep dives into both the mayor's race and one of the biggest bills running through the legislative session right now. HB1 is what it's titled. Mayor Coach Sid Edwards, the front runner in the general election or the November election for mayor. 34% of the vote he garnered takes that into the runoff election. We're going to talk with Sid at 7:15, 7:35. Julie Emerson, State Representative Julie Emerson, author of HB1, going to join us to talk about that bill and the rest of the session as well. Right now, though, let's broaden things out to Washington, D.C. Shreveport area Congressman Mike Johnson, he gets the nod. House Republicans unanimously select Mike Johnson to be the Speaker of the 119th Congress. In a news conference yesterday, Speaker Johnson said House Republicans are unified in working on their agenda for the American people.
The number one concerns were the cost of living, the wide open border, the instability on the world stage, the weakness that has gotten us into the most dangerous situation since World War II, instability and insecurity, the radical, progressive, woke agenda. People have had enough of all that.
I wonder how much is going to go away now, though, as far as the woke agenda is concerned, because I feel like, and this is, I don't have numbers on this. I don't have polling data. It's just a gut thing. This was a incredibly divisive presidential race, and every issue was the most important issue. And every issue that was out there, predominantly on the left, was made to make all Republicans look evil. no matter what their take was on it, it was just the way it was going to play out. And I have to wonder if the business at hand, the issues that prove to be important on election day, are the issues that are going to remain as headlines moving forward. Like, will there be a natural ebb and flow to this to say, yes, let's go back to fixating on jobs, the economy, the border, stability around the world? There's no profit right now in pushing a woke agenda. There's no money to be turned in pushing a woke agenda right now. So table those issues until you can turn some coin off some folks again by making them all angry one more time. How about that day one agenda of the new Congress? Mike Johnson says they're ready to roll.
We have a very well-designed playbook. We will begin to execute those plays with precision on day one. And so our new and incoming members, we're preparing the players now to take that field beginning early in January when all begins again on January 3rd.
Yeah. By the way, stepping away from Mike Johnson himself, our news partners over at Louisiana Radio Network spoke with political science professor from LSU Shreveport, Jeffrey Sadow. He said it's no surprise that Johnson was voted unanimously by his fellow Republicans as Speaker.
He kept them together and really demonstrated some ability to largely, maybe not entirely, but largely pursue the agenda of the majority of the Republican Party.
Not to mention he figuratively pistol whipped the obstructionists. If you rewind the clock back to Kevin McCarthy being Speaker, and we had a pretty deep dive into that because Congressman Graves had McCarthy's back pretty strong. If you rewind the clock back to that, McCarthy had to spend every single day on eggshells, and for like being called a rhino for wanting to do things like keep the government open. He spent every day on eggshells, having to make sure he was courting those who just want to say no to everything. Mike Johnson rolls in and just dropped an elbow on him. I mean, like a Bill Laimbeer style 80s Detroit Pistons, pull down the rebound and make sure you're swinging on the way back out. Sadow says while Johnson goes into the new Congress with a more unified Republican caucus, he's still going to have a very slim majority. GOP, it wasn't a runaway. They do have the majority, though, which will be made slimmer with at least 3 resignations by those tapped to serve in Donald Trump's cabinet.
We only have a handful of votes on your side and a few people in there that are not entirely satisfied with the direction that the party is going. Then there's always going to be challenges, but I think it's going to be a little easier.
Now, to be fair, one of those that's leaving or maybe leaving is Matt Gaetz, who was one of those aforementioned obstructionists. He's in Florida. He's going to be replaced by another Republican. But it's about the timing of it, to be sure, how quickly that turnover is. And I'm not familiar with how Florida does things. So the 119th Congress will be sworn in 11 o'clock our time on Friday, January 3rd. We have enough time to get into the session a little bit here. We do. I tell you what, let's go ahead and stick with it right now. I can plow through 2 news stories in one segment. Over at the state capitol, lawmakers have delayed a vote on a crucial sales tax bill within Governor Landry's tax reform plan. This one would cut around $2 billion in income and corporate taxes, but has faced opposition regarding a proposed sales tax expansion on services like lawn care, tattoos, coin-operated laundries. This tax would raise an estimated $500 million to offset that lost revenue. Bernie Pincinat, political analyst Bernie Pincinat, spoke with our news partners at LRN. He says resistance in the House has cast doubt on the bill's future as 70 votes are needed for passage.
The House has 72 Republican members, and a lot of those are anti-tax. So it may be a renewal, but the governor, myself, and anyone else who pays attention knew that would be a tough sell.
To me, it's about, okay, so you add sales taxes to a number of things, you're going to lose Democratic support because sales taxes are regressive for the poor. Percentage of their income wise, the poorer you are, the less money you make, the larger percentage of your income goes into sales taxes. And when you mentioned something like coin-operated laundry, so for folks who can't even afford to have their own washer and dryer, adding to their expense, adding to their expense column on the P&L is not going to be very well received. But I have a separate concern about this sales and service taxes that I don't know if it's been brought up a whole lot. how big of a topic of conversation it is, but I'm concerned with moving things off the books altogether. Moving to, like, let's say your lawn care business wants to change their model. Hey, how much is it to cut my grass? Well, I tell you what, 65 if you're paying us with check, 50 if we're doing it straight cash. How often are we going to see that? Rather than earning that, or rather than the state collecting on that added service tax, it just disappears off the books altogether. We'll continue that conversation next hour. Here's news. I did not have time for all three. Damn it. I didn't have all three of the Bernie Pence night cuts. I didn't have time for them. It's all right.
1 out of 3, you know.
Yeah. That was enough to set the table. I have a 6-minute rant on this. That I just
said it was 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah.
About 1 out of 3. I don't know.
Meatloaf could afford to cut back. He wasn't slim. Colorado, Louisiana, New York, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, and Vermont. Where is the public money on Tyson Hall? Oh shit! Okay, he's taking a dive. Oh golly, it's gonna be disappointing if he actually does. Here's the thing, though. It can be in the script. Like, there could be a script for him to take a dive, and the moment glove meets face, he's an animal. Like, he could. Oh, it's good at. I'm gonna beat his ass. Like, it's like as soon as he gets punched in the mouth, like that's his saying, right? Like, that's his phrase.
Yeah.
The great philosopher Mike Tyson said, "Everyone has a game plan until you get punched in the mouth." So as soon as he gets punched in the mouth, he's like, "You trying to embarrass me on Netflix?"
Like something's gonna click. You feel like it's just gonna go.
Yes, that animalistic instinct's gonna take back
Like
over.
he gets
again.
that smell of blood,
Yeah.
like a shark, and he's
Yep.
just like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, I'm here for it, man. Gosh, I hate that I'm not gonna be able to see it in real time. Though.
Are you trying to embarrass me on Netflix?
Yeah, I saw like one interview. Mike was talking about like his kids. I don't know. He must not have a good relationship with them or something. But he's like, I'm doing it for my kids. I'm like, oh crap.
Tyson
Yeah.
doesn't have a good relationship with his kids.
Yeah.
Not stable at home. The hell?
No, I'm just saying. But
seriously,
I think
Mike
that's when it
Tyson isn't like father knows best.
But I think that's when it comes.
You know,
Becomes
when I was in
personal,
prison.
right?
Whoa, just
Like
stop
he
right
doesn't
there.
like his kids. He doesn't want to be made a fool of. Like I guess he's trying to make things right with his kids, and I don't think he's like I said. But everything about Jake Paul
It's
makes
douchey.
it seem, yeah. Just
Okay, so how much? I honestly, I don't know that I've watched a full Jake Paul fight. I've seen highlights and clips and whatnot.
I've only seen clips.
But at the same time, though, like how much of this is I'm seeing it because I want to see it.
All of his promos look like WWE promos.
Yes,
that's what they look like. Yeah.
Mike Tyson's 58 years old.
Yeah.
58 years old.
But our 58 looks a lot different than Mike's 58. You know what I'm saying? Like the average guy. So I don't know. Man.
7:05 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing. Holding at 50 degrees to start off your Friday morning. Yes, holding at 50 degrees to start off your Friday morning. Let's go. Playoff high school football coming up tonight. We're actually going to be talking about that in the 8 o'clock hour. It's a great time of year. Thanksgiving's just around the corner. Then it's full on holiday season. You get that crispness in the air just a little bit. Just a little bit. I'll take it and run. Let's go. Hey, we got a busy hour this hour. I got Sid Edwards scheduled for our next segment. We got Julie Emerson on board for 7:35. But before we get to anything else, we got top stories and trending. Pew, pew, pew.
Number 5.
Is it wrong that I care so much more about one of the trending stories than I do any of the top 5 news stories right now? Oh man. All right. Number 5 starts us off in the courtroom. Actually, a man arrested for a fatal nightclub shooting back in April has been formally charged with murder. 21-year-old Marquise Payne was arrested in July for the death of 26-year-old Timotheus Bowie Jr. at the Palace nightclub back on April 1st. Yesterday, an indictment was filed in the murder case. BRPD said Bowie was brought from the Scenic Highway nightclub to the hospital shortly after being shot, or shortly after midnight when Payne shot him. Bowie then died in the hospital. Payne was also among 5 people arrested in August after police raided multiple homes suspected to be part of a drug ring.
Number 4.
Prominent Baton Rouge defense attorney Louis Unglesby alleges his client, former Central Police Lieutenant Huey Haley, was unjustly targeted. Quote, the charges in Central against my client Huey Haley are ill-founded, Unglesby said. We don't agree that he did anything improper whatsoever. In fact, Unglesby goes so far as to tell our news partners at WBRZ so Haley is accused of reporting nearly 350 hours of work that he didn't work and taking home an extra $7,600. Unglesby says he was working. They can prove it, but they're going to do so in the courtroom, not in an interview with the news.
Number 3.
Members of LSU's student government have passed a resolution asking the school to bar the display of live tigers during sporting events, regardless of whether the governor wants to restore the tradition. The university's student newspaper, The Reveille, has reported this. The student Senate resolution was sponsored by 15 senators and passed unanimously on Wednesday night. It is a non-binding resolution. I'm sure this it's a non-binding resolution. It's to be forwarded over to President Tate, Athletics Director Scott Woodward, and Governor Jeff Landry. I feel bad for the student senate. They're about to realize just how little power student government actually has.
Number 2.
I mean, you don't go tell President Tate, Scott Woodward, and Jeff Landry what's what. East Baton Rouge District Attorney Hiller Moore is proposing a property tax on voters' ballots this spring to bolster up his office. We have Hiller Moore on the show basically roughly every month or so just to get caught up on things, and his office has been backlogged since before COVID. So he's looking for some help. This, according to The Advocate, a notice was posted for a public hearing to consider taking action on a new ad valorem tax. Don't know how much that'll be yet, but I do know they want it on the May 3rd, 2025 election.
Number 1.
Be on the lookout for right lane closures happening on I-12 west from the 10-12 merge up to College Drive coming up tonight, according to the Department of Transportation. Going to be 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. Workers will be installing temporary striping on the. Whoa. Sorry. Caught a typo from our news partners at WBRZ right there. They added one too many P's. So, according to BRZ, look out for temporary stripping by the College Drive flyover. Should I report that typo? Because That's a pretty big. Temporary striping's one thing.
Yeah.
Temporary stripping, so close to the Penthouse Club.
Yeah, just temporary.
Temporary stripping.
Just temporary. All right. Nothing permanent.
Put it back
about
on, Lou.
Yeah. Hey, is Bobby Jindal going to be in the President Trump's cabinet? Rumors are swirling as he was in numerous photos at Mar-a-Lago yesterday.
Yeah, they had the big gala and whatnot.
Yep.
The Advocate's got a big story up on it right now. But Jindal's not the only one who's being talked about right now. And so you got Bobby Jindal taking pictures over at Mar-a-Lago. Garrett Graves' name on the short list for transportation. I keep hearing Cade Brumley's name come up for education.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you had plenty of Louisiana representation last time around. So I don't know who would be back in the running this time around to kind of fill some of those top spots, if not cabinet level, then like deputy secretarial type level.
Right. Yeah. Very fascinating.
Wait, before we move on, before we move on, though,
everything he's doing in that.
Got an informal poll going, and I would like some response to this over on our Facebook Live feed. Hey, this is kind of semi-related to Bobby Jindal. Why did John Bell Edwards beat David Vitter in 2015? It was coming out of the Jindal era, and I kind of got into it with some folks on Twitter last night. Just a healthy back and forth, because there's no way to prove it. There's no wrong answer here.
Right.
There's no way to go back and prove it. Why did John Bell win in 2015 versus David Vitter? Give me your answer over there on our Facebook Live. We're live on Facebook every single morning. I would love to hear some just opinions on this. There's no wrong answers. Just looking for opinion.
Yeah, sounds good. Hey, President-elect Donald Trump says he will nominate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to lead the Department of Health and Human Services.
Yeah.
While we're at it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just.
I mean, he's an anti-vax activist, to be sure.
Yeah.
And a lot of that comes to the forefront after COVID, when you had what was dubbed Operation Warp Speed. You had some folks who were very naturally scared of what was to come.
Apprehensive about it.
Hey,
yeah.
I'm not putting a needle in my arm off of something that's based off of a couple months worth of research, not a number of years. But when that vaccine fear translates over to other vaccines that are tried and true that have been around for a long time, I mean, when you start looking at the possibility of diseases that have been gone for a long time returning somehow, I just, when was the last time you heard about polio in the U.S.?
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Just when you start thinking of it in those terms, and you can remove yourself from the vacuum that was the COVID era. And I say was because, we need to be past it. Bigger picture. I don't know.
Really fascinating choice. Yeah. Hey, in other news, Mike Tyson slapped Jake Paul in their final photo op before tonight's big fight.
There's the story. There's the story that I care about.
Yeah.
The only one I care about right now. The only story I'm worried about is a 58-year-old man whipping the behind of a 20-something-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And I'm calling somebody in their 20s a kid, which makes me officially old.
Yeah, he had it coming, though. He has it coming.
Well, he's a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Hey, he started off as a YouTuber and then moved over to the Disney Channel for a terrible show called Bizarrevark, which, by the way, also starred Olivia Rodrigo, and she's a mess. So it just
I like the side-by-side comparisons of, Jake Paul at 25 and then Mike Tyson at 25. You've seen those?
No.
Those comparisons. You can already imagine what one is like compared to the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. One's trying to become a YouTube sensation while the other one's in a ring, just taking care of business. Like, I don't understand.
Fresh out of prison.
Yeah.
Just destroying guys.
Right.
I mean,
but everything about Jake Paul's promos, though, make it seem illegitimate. Like, it just makes it seem like a WWE promo.
I'm legit worried about this fight.
Yeah.
Because I want Mike Tyson to win.
Absolutely.
For all the same reasons that everybody else wants Mike Tyson to win. Okay. Yeah. Number one, kid's a punk.
Yeah.
Deal with the punk. Number two, I get to feel young again for half a second. I get to live vicariously through Iron Mike, right?
Oh, man.
But what's worrying me here is I looked it up during the break.
Yeah.
Vegas didn't get built on bad calls, right?
Right.
And as it stands right now, 80% of the bets, including 70% of the overall money, is on Mike Tyson. 80% of the bets are on Mike Tyson.
Right.
You know how strong Vegas cashes in if Mike Tyson just leans into one? You know how strong Vegas cashes in, and everybody like me, we'll call it 40s and up, who's trying to drop. By the way, you can't bet on this in Louisiana. And shout out to Mayor Pro Tem Brandon Knoll for the heads up on this. In our first hour, I was asking why I can't bet on this on my DraftKings. There's a handful of states in this country where the bet's not allowed. Louisiana is one of those states. But Vegas wasn't built on losing. And if 80% of the money is on Mike Tyson, and you can have Vegas pay out 20% of the bets, they know more than we do. They always do. The house always wins. And if Mike Tyson goes down, the house is winning again. So, all right. Sid Edwards is outside the front door. I need to go let him in. And then we'll talk to him about the runoff next. Okay. Yeah, but come on in. You're up.
All right. How you doing, sir?
All right.
I am a little cold maker.
Once you're moving and the sun comes up a little bit. Truth be told, $7:17 coming up on 7:18 to Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. All right, we went from talking about one heavyweight fight to talking about another heavyweight fight right here. Nope, we're not talking about Tyson Paul right now. We're talking Edwards Broom. Coach Sid Edwards in the house this morning. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Just on the run. Exhilarating times, isn't it?
I mean, well, okay. So normally you're not in a t-shirt in studio. By the way, I'm liking the dark green right there.
Thank you.
Good look on the campaign color. You're donning a t-shirt this morning. Why?
Well, as soon as I leave out here, I'm gonna jet out and go join Miss Jennifer Richardson and keep Tiger Town beautiful and pick up some of this trash out here in the street. So
okay,
I didn't want to do it in a suit.
Well,
no. So I said, hey, look, I'm gonna get the regular Sid attire for the morning.
Okay, all right. Well, you gotta. I mean, look, and it's not too late. There's still a little bit of time left of the campaign to get you a Sid Edwards quarter zip.
Yeah,
get you some sleeves on you because it's about to get colder out.
And I know people who can get that for
me. There you
go.
So
we're gonna roll.
Yeah, well, yeah, and we'll talk about 5-star printing and signs later on in the show. Anyway, we got. I want to get into a lot of the issues, and you're going to be on. I want you and I want Sharon on at least once a week, all the way up until Election Day, because this is a very important decision that Baton Rouge is about to make.
Sure.
But before we get into the issues, this is your first time running,
right?
What was your first Election Day like?
I said prior to Election Day, I said, it's going to be just like game day.
I know.
It was not. It was completely different. I actually felt anxiety coaching for as long as I have, you always get a little butterfly. You want to be prepared. You want to make sure you're on point for the game and all the I's are dotted, etc. But election day is the bread's in the oven.
Right.
When you wake up that morning, there's no last minute adjustment, nothing to move the needle, and you kind of feel helpless. So you're waiting on a result on decisions that other people are making.
Yes.
So you spent the whole time trying to convince people that, hey, I am the choice, push the lever for me. So it was really surreal,
So, and the similarity is there. And like Nick Saban always talked about process, right? So
Right.
you've put the process in, but I would imagine as a coach, it's more like, have you ever been ejected from a game?
I have not.
Okay.
It's a
right.
goal, but I haven't yet.
But
Yeah.
I knew probably not from football, but maybe from basketball,
Right.
getting teed up a couple times.
Right.
It's more like being a coach after you've been ejected because
Right.
you can't call plays, you can't make adjustments. It's just you're subject to what you've already put out there.
Yeah, I found myself thinking all morning through the morning, okay, what could we have done differently?
Right.
What could well then there's no tomorrow in this.
Right.
I mean, we got ourselves to the runoff playoff overtime, so to speak, right?
Right.
So that was the big deal. Not second guessing, but being new to the campaign business. I just relied on my wonderful, outstanding team, and they did a wonderful job. And probably around 3 or 4 o'clock, I had a little peace. I was good.
Really?
Yeah. I said, look, if God writes it, it's going to happen, and I went to a buddy's house and I took a nap. And then we went over to, to Portobello's where our watch party was. And when I once in there, it was like Wall Street. I mean, I was like a pinball banging around.
Yeah.
So I had no idea what the results were, when they were coming in. My team would tell me, hey, here's where we're at. And then all of a sudden, boom, I'm in front of cameras and, hey, you're in the runoff.
Not just in the runoff, front runner.
Right.
I mean, that's got to, I would imagine putting that much effort in, knowing you want to be one of the top two, there's a level of reassurance, and not reassurance that you take your foot off the gas, but I didn't just make the cut. I made number one at the blocks.
It was a very humbling experience to hear that. I'm so grateful and thankful for the many people who believe in me, because, almost 65,000 votes. And I got to believe that 40,000, maybe 45,000 of those folks had either never heard of me or didn't know who I was when we started.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to believe that they did some research. We got in front of enough people. So it was just I'm very thankful and humbling that those folks thought enough to believe in me.
So now it's pivoting. Now you go to the runoff, which I guess in coach's parlance would be overtime.
That's right.
So the issues are going to remain the same.
Right.
As far as what Baton Rouge is facing right now. And we're going to get into all of them over the course of the next month.
Right.
I want to stick with you for just a second right here, because one of the biggest knocks going into the election was this is your first go at anything politically.
Right.
There's no experience behind you there. You've had to adapt to that question on numerous platforms over the course of the last few months. How has your answer evolved, and how have you evolved along with that answer?
Well, I'll put it to you this way. Being mayor president of the parish, okay? No experience doing that. No real experience in government, right? Well, let's just say that I walked in here this morning and you needed brain surgery.
Okay.
And I have no experience, okay?
Right.
I wouldn't be the guy you'd want me to crack your cranium open and
Right.
work on it. This is not brain surgery. This job's very important. It's detailed, but it's not. And another example I'll use, okay, when I first became a head football coach, when I got the job, I had zero experience of ever being a head football coach. When President Obama, President Ronald Reagan, when they first became president, sure, they were in politics and government, but not every one of them was their first day being the president. When Mayor Broom became mayor president of Baton Rouge, sure, she had some governmental experience, but she had no experience with running a city.
Right.
So I'm in no different boat than anyone else.
That's fair. The crossover from coach to mayor president, though, is a little bit different because your coordinators, your assistant coaches work for you.
Right.
A coach doesn't have a legislative branch.
Right.
So your Metro Council is not directly under you. In fact, they're, not right now, but they've traditionally been adversarial. How do you plan to adapt to that relationship?
Well, I mean, that's just teamwork. That's unifying. That's playing together. And I know that on some topics and some issues, it's never going to be unanimous. Not everyone's going to always agree, certainly.
Right.
But one of my skill sets is unifying, and I also think I'm a pretty doggone good leader, one that people will believe in. Now, you don't walk in the door and they go, "Oh, I believe in him."
Mhm.
I mean, that's earned, and once you start working together and collaborating and being together, I have zero concerns about that. So somebody accused me of being naive about that because I've discussed that before. Said perhaps, but I'm also optimistic, and I just believe with my skill set, unifying people for the bigger picture, I think it's going to be just fine.
Along the campaign trail, what issues rise to the forefront as far as what Baton Rouge is facing right now?
I'm gonna tell you, Brian, this is crazy. I did my own. I don't really believe in polls no more, of course, but I did my own little poll, and I asked, let's take an area of the parish, Highland, Bluebonnet, Essen, Perkins. Okay, what is the number one thing? I'll ask constituents and folks out there. Okay, what is the number one worry issue you have? And it's crime.
Yeah.
And of course, that's been my number one. But in North Baton Rouge, in the Brookstown area, say Brookstown, Prescott, Winburn, I would say 7 out of 10 when I ask, what's your number one issue? And what do you think I'm going to hear? I think it's going to be safety and crime.
Yeah.
Jobs, opportunities. I mean, it's compelling. I'm not saying that.
That's so interesting. Like that dichotomy, like you would think, just assume anything north of Florida Boulevard is going to say crime.
Right.
Well, except for like Central Baker Zachary. But like, yeah, you get into a number of different, like Winburn, you get around Southern University, you get around anything in the 70805. Like, but if the answer there is jobs, then they know that's the way out of the crime.
Absolutely. And it's the opportunities, the jobs, I get hit with that. And that it just, I wish to do a complete polling of that. I like to know now, don't get me wrong. The people over there on that side of town don't want
of course.
As we're sitting here, I spoke to a group the other night. It was, I forgot what day it was, but anyway, we were talking and I was talking about the safety issue and the crime. I said, as we're sitting here, before the sun goes down, someone's going to be shot tonight.
Yeah.
I said, so you've got homework, I told the group. Pull up your media and find out. And sure enough, 8 o'clock, corner of Plank and Winburn, teenager. First thing I called to see is it one of our Struma students. It wasn't, was shot. And so I don't know. I just kind of feel like our head's in the sand. I mean, are we feeling there's not a problem there?
Well, we run into the differences between a problem and a perception of a problem. And yes, the number of murders the number of homicides we have in Baton Rouge is bad. We're going to be triple digits again this year. And we need to be about knock it down by half, if not 2/3. I understand that. But a lot of it is compartmentalized, like drug related or domestic violence, to where the random Joe is not necessarily in danger. Baton Rouge is we have high crime, but we're not necessarily a dangerous place. It's a weird spot.
I don't know if I agree. I think it's a dangerous city.
Okay.
I really do. And it's, I run the streets of the 70805 a lot. And my son, who know where he lives, midnight the other night, guy bloodied up, beating on the door, trying to get in his house. I mean, I have a little grandson now. And it was just someone strung out on drugs. Yeah. I don't know if they thought they were at the wrong house. There's so much of that going around. But you see what's not reported in the media a lot. We hit the 100 murder, if I'm correct, yesterday. Okay. I think we hit 100. Don't quote me. We'll research that. But what's not reported is the multiple shootings every night. You rarely see, hey, someone was shot on Oswego Street there in stable condition. It's not all reported.
No. And oftentimes non-fatals aren't reported. And if they're missed entirely.
Right.
It's, the news shouldn't be based off of someone's aim.
Right. So I guess when I say I disagree, I don't feel it's a safe city is when, your wife can get gas at the Be Quick at 8:15 and feel fairly okay about it.
Right. Yeah. I see that. I see that side as well, for sure.
Right.
Like when you're in, like I live in 70815. Okay. I live in Sherwood, across Florida Boulevard behind Sonny's Barbecue, which I love. I love Sonny's Barbecue, but that neighborhood back there, one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in the city.
It is.
It's like a 4-block radius where you see a significant percentage of the shootings. And that's within earshot of my house. But I don't feel unsafe at my house, even though I can hear them.
Right. If by and large, I think most people are okay if they mind their business, and because a lot's targeted. But you do know, a poll came out. Baton Rouge is ranked 182 out of 182 cities vetted as far as the safest cities in the country. I mean, it's not safe.
He is Coach Sid Edwards running he's in your runoff for mayor president of East Baton Rouge. Coach Edwards, I know you talk about being a leader. When you go out there with Miss Jennifer, she's in charge, not you.
That's what I understand.
Okay. All right.
And I'm about to go get boots on the ground.
Thank you so much for the time. We'll be talking soon.
Always my honor.
Thanks. We got 7:30 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Quick break. We're going to pivot from the mayor's race to the legislature. Special session on tax reform rolls on. Julie Emerson, State Representative Julie Emerson, is the author of HB1. We're diving into that next. Right now, here comes ABC News, local news, traffic, weather, and we'll continue on Mornings with Brian Haldane.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you, man. All right.
Yeah, that was the best conversation yet. That was
Well,
good.
thank you.
No, that was really, really good.
I try. We'll see y'all soon. You just let me know when.
Next week, Brian, let's talk about food deserts. We've done a lot of work on that.
Oh, yeah, we got some good ideas.
Got a good plan.
Get with Councilman Hurst.
Yeah.
He's got some stuff that's already in the works. I don't think 10,000 foot view, he'd be an idiot. I know, yeah. We don't know what he's gonna do. We text back and forth. I mean, I was real sensitive right after his mother was sick the night of the election. He went back and forth to the hospital with her. So I reached out to him next afternoon. Hey, we'll get together. But then I just, let it lie. Yeah. And he politically came. Right. I think in a way I'm going to spend a non-endorsement issue. But the fact that he's heavily sharing the say, they kind of get what he said. I want to support it. I want to know what percentage of his support was the pragmatic Republican people. That's what this is. Right. No, I did it. A lot, at least 20. The story that, well, and I'll use 12. Because I assume Myers, Burns, and Haney, those 4% roll over you, bumping you from 34 to 38. But your honey pot. Yeah, right. Because if you're outside of St. George, you don't have a presidential race. You don't have a congressional race. You only have Americans. If you're inside St. George, you have a funding mechanism for your city.
Your city name always Zachary has a council race.
Yeah, Brandon.
And Central, you know, is kind of welcome. I think that's the misconception. He was from there. There are a lot of negatives versus he's more of a beloved. Right.
And they don't show up publicly. He's always had power. Right. There's a lot of people who say that from behind his back. Yeah. Right.
Last year we ran for Senate, look at Terry. A lot of Republican voters.
Yeah. We feel good about it. I do. Well, and look, I'm looking at
They don't have to do mornings with the mayor.
That's 7:15. We got. Hey, I'm up for that. I mean, we got Dusty Yates on every week.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
That's paid content.
Oh,
So good stuff.
Yeah.
I'll hit you up. You want to do something next week?
Next week. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
Is Julie Emerson calling in?
We can call her.
Oh, okay.
Area code 336. We're gonna go back to those that second story that I didn't get to. If she doesn't call in, we'll go back to that. I want to do it again. Start over. Coach Kim Mulkey and the Tigers host Murray State tonight at 7, and then they'll host Troy Monday night at 7. You can hear both of those games right here. In fact, all season long, your home for LSU women's basketball is Talk 107.3 FM. And yes, as we roll into basketball season, we're rolling in with a little bit of the weather that's appropriate for the season. Here's your forecast from Cade Cowan. Try her again, please. She should be calling right now. 738 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We've got a special session going on in the state legislature right now. It is on tax reform, and I had the brilliant idea to try to run down the busiest person in that session. She's the author of HB1. She heads up the Ways and Means Committee on the House side, and she's in the thick of it right now. So got to get to her quickly because she's got a busy day lined up, actually all the way through November 25th or whenever they sign a die. Here is State Representative Julie Emerson. Good morning. Welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm very well as well. Okay, let's start with that. How hectic is your schedule right now? Because between not just your bill, not just HB1, but running the Dadgum committee, everything's funneling through you.
Yeah, I actually had 4 bills this session and the committee, but we actually finished up most of our work on the committee side. I think we have one more bill to hear in committee next week, but we've got all the big ones out. So the House is actually not in session today. The bills are mostly on the Senate side now, and I've actually got to go back this weekend for some Senate committee. So
okay, all right. Well, then that's good to know. Y'all hammered out a lot of it on the front end. Obviously, HB1 is the biggest one that's being talked about right now, although we will get to HB2 as well. But walk me through a little bit about HB1. And look, this thing started off with a 9-page digest. Julie, not the text, the digest was 9 pages. That's a lot piled into one bill. Walk me through not just what it is, but how it's being perceived.
Yeah, so look, I mean, anytime you completely reform the tax code and rewrite it, it certainly is going to make for longer bills.
Right.
But House Bill 1, which is kind of what we kicked off with, is the personal income tax reduction bill. So we right now we have 3 different income tax brackets in Louisiana. It's 1.85%, 3.5%, and 4.25. So we virtually eliminated the 1.85 and made that zero by increasing the standard deduction. So any of the ratepayers who are paying at 1.85% right now will pay 0. And then the 3.5 will pay 3%, and the 4.25 will pay 3%. So we're just moving toward the one flat tax of 3%.
Okay, so that's the front end of the bill, but there's a lot that goes in on the back end as well with eliminating some cuts.
So I'll explain that a little bit. That actually has more to do with HB2 than HB1, but the reason that some of those credits are referenced in HB1 is because if a business files as an S corp or an LLC pass-through, then those credits would apply to businesses.
Okay,
so right now we're sunsetting a lot of the credits that we have in order to do rate reductions, and that's like the inventory tax credit, the film tax credit, the historic tax credits, things like that.
And I want to get to the film tax credit specific and the historic tax credit specifically a little bit later on. But like there's a laundry list in here that says the proposed law repeals the following income tax deductions. And there's more than a dozen items on that list itself.
Yeah, so most of those are just cleanup. A lot of those exemptions and credits had already sunsetted and it had just not been removed out of law. And then there's several more that the Department of Revenue testified that no one had been claiming for several years. So most of those are just cleanup.
I mean, I didn't know you could get a tax credit for donating bone marrow.
That it is in there, it's on the books.
I did not know that was a thing. So I would guess that's one of the ones that nobody's even claiming because who knew?
Right.
How's the bill being received on the Senate side?
I think I think that one because like I said, the crux of it is trying to compress the brackets and lower income taxes for everyone in Louisiana.
Right.
So I think that one is being taken pretty well. I think there's a lot of conversations on some of the other ones, but I think everyone is mostly on board for trying to reduce income taxes for everyone.
Now, meanwhile, HB2 deals with the corporate income tax, and this one's kind of staggered to bring this thing down over the course of a couple years. So talk to me a little bit about why not just go all the way to that bottom number. I mean, from a business's perspective, I'm sure they would want to see that.
Yeah. So on the corporate side, like right now we have the highest corporate tax rate in the Southeast at 7.5%. And, unfortunately, that's just not competitive. I mean, if all the states around us have a much lower corporate income tax rate and a business is looking to relocate or maybe open up a plant or whatever, and they're looking all around us, they're not going to choose Louisiana if we're the highest corporate tax rate. So we're trying to attract more business. We're the only state in the South that's losing population. So we're trying to attract more business and create more jobs in Louisiana and spur economic growth. And so the reason that we have the step down approach. So right now, our highest corporate tax rate is 7.5%, which is what most C Corps are paying. So next year we would go down to 5.5% and 3.5% the following year. The reason for the gradual step down is because those credits that I was talking about they're mostly applied on the C Corp side.
Yes.
Those are sunsetting on June 30th of next year. So the 5.5 is kind of a bridge, and then the following year, when they would be completely eliminated, we would be at 3.5.
Okay. So in reality, every business does planning for if they're doing long-term planning, if they're looking to relocate, they would be able to factor that in and say we're only going to be at that 5.5 for a year anyway. So if nothing else, it's a good faith move.
Well, I mean, look, the 5.5 still puts us more competitive than the 7.5. But of course, the following year at 3.5, we'd actually be the second lowest corporate tax rate in the Southeast of those that have the corporate tax rate. Texas has 0, but Texas does have a gross receipts tax and a franchise tax. And then North Carolina is at 2.5. So we would be the second lowest right there at 3.5.
Then you got HB3, which I think is it not being talked about enough, quite honestly. Corporate franchise tax going away.
Yeah.
This is one that I know there's a lot of small businesses that say that are just applauding right now.
Yeah, so let's talk about the franchise tax a little bit. So it's a very obscure tax. It's really a regressive tax for the businesses that have to pay it. It is actually a tax that only the C corps pay. But I say it's kind of like a cost for being in Louisiana. It's like an annual fee for doing business in Louisiana. It's not based on what a business makes.
Right.
They could actually lose money one year and they would still have to pay the franchise tax because it is a percentage of the capital investment that you have in the state. So it really, again, it is just a fee that you have to pay to do business here. A lot of these different tax organizations that do business rankings, like the Tax Foundation, they've told us that eliminating the franchise tax is probably the greatest thing we can do to increase our business rankings for attracting business. In fact, this whole package, all the changes that we're doing are going to take us from the bottom 10 to the top 10 in business climate.
This is not talked about nearly enough. This is like the hidden gem of this session. I know the personal income tax is going to be the headliner because it affects the most of us. I get that, but to me, this one is going to have huge impact. We're talking.
Because look, Brian, I think that if you don't create a better business climate and attract more business and create more economic growth, then you won't be able to continuously lower the rates, and that's our goal. Our goal in this is to try to get to zero income tax and get our business rate as low as we can to keep attracting them. And I think we do that by getting more people here.
No, I completely agree, and I'm sure Susan Bourgeois agrees as well. We're talking with State Representative Julie Emerson. I got just a couple more minutes. I want to go back to the film tax credit and the historical tax credit. While these two are sunsetting, are they just? Is there going to be an effort to rebuild them? Because with the film tax credit specifically, we've seen this business is mobile and it's just straight up goes away. So while I understand the want to not lose that tax credit, if you've got zero revenue coming in at all, then it doesn't help the state at all.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll absolutely do a little deep dive into that. So, and I'll start off by saying this, and I'll finish up, I think, by hopefully making some of our friends in the film community feel a little bit better. I know that I haven't done a lot of that lately with them, but I'm going to attempt to. So the goal in this session was to set a sunset date for all of these credits, because all of them together are worth about $600 million, which is roughly what we're lowering the rate by. It'll be a little bit more, but it's roughly a trade-off to eliminate those credits and lower that rate for every single business. Because, credits only affect particular industries, typically, like the film industry.
Mm-hmm.
And then lowering the rates affects every business in Louisiana. So I think that some of the heartburn on the film tax credit over the years has been, the fact that the vast majority of it does go to out-of-state companies that don't have tax liability in the state of Louisiana, because we're effectively paying them to create movies here. But I absolutely will say that when they come here and they do make those movies, of course, there's a lot of people they employ in Louisiana. And look, I get it whenever we create a program that people start relying on for their jobs and for their income.
Mm-hmm.
It's very personal and it's very difficult to take it away. So I'm very cognizant of that. A lot of them have come to testify in committee. And they're very passionate about what they do. So our original plan in all of this was to model it kind of like North Carolina did, where they took a certain percentage, instead of having credits, they took a certain percentage of their intake from the corporate income tax, and they put it in a fund for economic development. And that's what we were planning to do with Susan Bourgeois, Secretary Bourgeois, and basically just have a little bit of flexibility and oversight to, pick projects that they really felt like would be very beneficial to Louisiana, whether that be, historic or movies or getting a site ready for a large industrial plant or whatever that is. So just to give her a little bit more oversight and flexibility in choosing those projects that would really benefit Louisiana. And so that was our vision of kind of moving into that situation, a little bit more of a grant situation where, you could have more oversight and it wasn't just like a check all these boxes and you get the automatic credit. Secretary Bourgeois asked us to give her until the regular session to put that program and that bill together. So, we've referenced it and she's been in committee with me testifying about it. But I understand there's a lot of apprehension because there's a lot of unknown from some of our friends in the film industry and the historic tax credit. So we're working on a solution right now that will kind of bridge that gap for them, to maybe preserve part of their program to get us to a point of where we want to be with LED. So, look, the bills have made it through the House. They're in the Senate right now. We're still working on some things. I'm certainly not trying to push anybody out of the state. So we're trying to work on a solution that kind of calms the nerves and works for everybody.
That's fair. But this is one that I've paid personal attention to a good bit because we have built out studios. And having a movie filmed in Louisiana is no longer just, good for caterers. We've got the infrastructure, we've got the industry, which means like our neighbors, their mortgage relies on this now. So it's good to hear that there's some back end work being done to make sure it doesn't go away.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like I said, I think anytime that you do create an industry here, that obviously that is relying upon something, it's very difficult to dial that back because it does affect families and individual people. And so, we're trying to figure out a way to make it a little bit more palatable. But, I think if we don't find a way to lower the corporate income tax rate in this session, I think we'll have a lot of problems down the road because
100%.
If we don't start attracting more business here and creating economic growth, I don't see how we change the trajectory of Louisiana.
100%. And look, I'm not trying to make the perfect the enemy of the good here, to be sure.
Yeah, of course. No, look, hey, I know these are big things, and I really applaud the governor for taking on this monumental task. Tax reform is really, really hard. When you start messing with taxes, no matter what you're doing, it spurs up a lot of people's emotions and concerns, and I get it. I really do, and I appreciate it. I mean, we've had a lot of really good feedback. So, change is hard, and we're trying to buckle down and put us in the right direction.
And got 10 more days to do it. She is State Representative Julie Emerson. Thank you so much for a couple minutes this morning. I know it's a busy time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brian. Anytime.
Always. We'll talk to you soon. 7. Ooh, we blew right past your money now. But you know what? If we're talking about your income tax, we're talking about your money now. Quick break and abbreviated This Day in History is next. What? Oh, I put down a that's what TDIH is. I'm sorry. Did you not know what that acronym? Okay, then ask. All right, cool. I mean, like 2 events, couple birthdays. That accident that Ray was talking about. Gotta hear it. .756 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Senator Bill Cassidy coming up after news, traffic, and weather at the top of the hour. Got a couple of topics to talk about with Senator Cassidy. Number one is broadband. Number two is the Stanford Ponzi scheme, back in the news again, with some possible closure for some folks. We'll get to Senator Cassidy after our news. Also next hour, our own Cade Voisin going to join us about 7:20. It's high school football playoff time. Let's dig in on what to look out for in the capital area. And then the folks from Chicken Shack are going to be in for Foodie Friday this morning. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a fun segment. We never had Chicken Shack on before. Right now, though, an abbreviated version of this day in history. You know, we had Coach Sid Edwards in here a little while ago, and I said put his name on put his logo on a quarter zip there. I don't even know if they do look. If you go to printshop5.com, you're going to be hard pressed to find anything that you can't put your brand on. So I probably shouldn't have teased that without knowing specifically about that, but I feel relatively comfortable in that.
Yeah.
All right, what happened?
Why
this
not?
day?
You know,
Look, printshop5.com. Check them out. Just go, do the homework there. Printshop5.com. Branding is more important now than it's ever been. Go ahead.
All right. So starting off 1777, the Articles of Confederation, the first Constitution of the United States, is approved by the Continental Congress.
Okay.
All right. 1969, an estimated 2 million people take part in the Vietnam War moratorium demonstration across the United States.
Okay.
In 1986, Beastie Boys released their debut album, License to Ill.
Okay, all-time bangers. That's got to be top 5, right?
Oh,
I mean,
from start to finish, man.
Just
so
the opening of that genre. The way the Beastie Boys went from there. Just everything about, and every track on there was awesome.
Oh, starting from Rhyming and Stealing.
Yep.
The first song. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Anyway, I know we're keeping it abbreviated, so I just kept this short. I know we only have a minute left.
Yeah.
You want to move on to birthdays?
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, yeah. It's Randy Savage's birthday today.
All right.
Let's see. Oh, man. Musical genius Chad Kroeger from Nickelback and Russell Tyron Jones.
We don't have enough time for sarcasm.
Also known as ODB from Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh.
Today. Yeah. Anybody else today you got?
Oh, man. I got a few. General German Field Marshal Erwin Rommel was born on this day in 1891. We had Georgia O'Keeffe, American painter. She was born on this day in 1887. Actor Ed Asner, born on this day in 1929.
Oof, with only 15 seconds to go here. I don't know any notable deaths here. What is this, Lil Peep? What happened to that guy?
My computer just shut down.
Oh, Tyrone Power. Let's move on to national days really, really quickly. Let's see. National Raisin Bran Day. So,
nope, not even worth it.
What?
All
Come
right.
on.
No, forget that. We got a break. That was This Day in History, brought to you by 5 Star Printing and Signs. Here's news. I got to do the third hour without the benefit of a computer, and all of my notes for the next interview are in the computer.
Oh my gosh.
So we got Cassidy from 8:05 to 8:15. That's just gonna have to be off memory.
I have a charger.
Yeah, I got one up in my office. I need a new laptop. My battery. If my battery can't last 3 hours during the show,
Yeah.
I need a new laptop. And when I brought it down this morning, it was running hot.
Christmas tree trouble.
What you say, Doug? I'm well. How are you? All good, man. We got plenty of time. Thanks. We'll see you in a bit. Bye.
Studio. Yes, sir. All right. So is this going to be phone interview or are you coming?
What, Senator Cassidy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's on in our next segment.
Okay, but he's not. Okay. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure. Thank you, sir. We'll have you on here shortly. I don't know why. You know what I was thinking?
What?
Because I'm so used to him coming in.
Yeah.
I guess I was thinking.
Oh,
he's
no.
calling
Yeah, no,
maybe
he's on the
at
hotline
4.
today, not in person.
I know.
Sure.
I'm just so used to him coming in. That's why I guess I was confused. I didn't know.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay, you're on the show? Cool. Put him on hold, and then he's like, I'm downstairs. You know.
Gotcha.
Just, yeah, that's what I know.
Hey, I'm on the air in 30 seconds. Hey, I'm good. I'm on the air. Okay, cool. 806 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing. We got a busy hour this hour. We're talking high school football in our next segment because it's playoff time. Cade Voisin going to join us. The folks from Chicken Shack going to be in at 8:35 for Foodie Friday. But we're starting off with a little more business to tend to. We got Senator Bill Cassidy on the hotline with us right now. Senator Cassidy, good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Brian Haldane. How are you, man?
I'm doing very well as well. The world of broadband is rapidly changing in Louisiana, and we're actually front runners nationwide with some of the stuff going on. Can we start there, or where we're at in the process?
That sounds great. I mean, first, let's just say that Governor Landry had a ceremony celebrating, if you will, the fact that in the bipartisan infrastructure bill, Louisiana is getting like over $1.3 billion to help make sure that everyone has access to high-speed, affordable internet. And this is when I was part of the team negotiating this, and I would hear from business people. They could not locate in small town Louisiana for a distribution center, even though it was centrally located, because they didn't have internet. When I'd go around the state, somebody in Avoyles Parish would say, you know, if I had internet, maybe my daughters would move home from Baton Rouge or from Livingston Parish, because if we had it, they would come. So that money's coming. We also have almost $13 million more dollars coming to help that we just announced to help further this effort. So there's dollars coming down to make sure that our state catches up where it should be. Everyone having access to high-speed, affordable internet.
And the plan has been in the works now for a little bit, but it's really ramping up now. Are we almost to the point of seeing shovels in dirt?
So Denise is the guy that runs the program. He tells me once a contract is cut, within 2 years it's out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so simple answer, yes. And again, it's the bipartisan infrastructure bill, also called the IIJA, that's sending this money to our state, making sure that our communities are wired. And when that happens, when I travel the state, and I do all the time, that's what smaller communities are most excited about. They have not been able to connect, for the purpose. Yeah, they can get on their phone, they can do cellular service, they can't download, they can't stream.
Right.
They're excited about it. That's going to be a game changer.
We're talking with Senator Bill Cassidy about the money coming our way for broadband from the National Telecommunications and Information Administration. Senator Cassidy, I apologize if you mentioned this in your opening remark there, but can we talk numbers here? Because this is huge.
It is huge. We've already received $1.355 billion from the IIJA. Now, by the way, Louisiana is about 1.3% of the total U.S. population. We are like third in the nation in per capita receipt of money for high-speed, affordable internet. And then we're getting about 12,700,000 more than that in the latest grant to help with the same goal. So we are making progress. Money is essential to make it happen, and it's coming through the infrastructure bill.
A number of different things have been downright fun along the way with this. And one of those is anytime the rest of the nation can turn to Louisiana for a blueprint, that's a good thing. Some of the work that Vinith has been doing has put us in that position to where we're actually, consulting with other states about how to lay out the groundwork.
Yeah, I was in over the summertime. My wife and I were at a friend's house in Idaho and went to a conference. And the people in the Mountain West were talking about Louisiana and how we're using those dollars to the maximal efficiency. So our state is doing it right. Tip of the hat to Vinith.
Mm-hmm.
Tip of the hat to John Bell and to Governor Landry.
Yeah.
But the money's coming from the infrastructure bill. That's what's making it happen, and it's helping our state get where it needs to be.
We're talking with Senator Bill Cassidy about two topics in particular this morning. One of them with broadband. You bring up a good point right there when you say tip of the hat to both former Governor Edwards and Governor Landry, because it's real easy for things like this to get lost in the wash during a transition. And Governor Landry kept his foot on the gas to make sure that program's running.
Absolutely. And Beneath was doing a great job. Jeff kept Beneath on. Ain't broke, don't fix it. And he had the big announcement about a month ago or 2 months ago now. Jeff is doubling down on it. That's a good thing.
We're talking with Senator Bill Cassidy about that. Well, I want to pivot from broadband over to something that really hasn't been in the news a lot lately, but in reading up on it, it looks like there's some news headed this way. You've been, it's the headline, Cassidy leads colleagues in demanding answers from U.S. Department of Justice on behalf of Stanford Ponzi scheme victims. Senator, I thought this was like all in the past now, and they were just kind of left in the lurch.
So for those who don't know what went on, there was what was called the Stanford Ponzi scheme, where a guy out of Texas, but so Louisiana and Texas really involved, got people to invest their money, and it turns out the assets were not there to support the investment. And he lived high on the hog, bought banks in Venezuela, had a lot of money parked in overseas. It just didn't work. The whole thing collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still, though, hundreds of billions of dollars out there, or at least billions of dollars out there. And so the Justice Department has been going after banks to get that. So, for example, just had a conversation, but they're going after Toronto Dominion Bank, Toronto, Canada Dominion Bank, for I think they have $1 billion. And now DOJ is also getting punitive damages on some of these banks. And so we'd also like to get the punitive damages to be returned to the Ponzi victims. And these are people who had retired from Exxon and living in Zachary. And they had put their retirement in this because they were promised better returns. And it just collapsed. These are average working day Americans living all the way, kind of a band from Covington through Lafayette. And then we just got hammered in our state. So we're leading a letter trying to get more of that money back to the people who are defrauded, and not just the money they're directly recovering, but some money on top of that.
For those who are involved in this, I mean, this is such a stupid question. How did they not give up? Because I feel like this was forever ago.
Yeah. So the Justice Department's been after it. The victims have been after it. The victims have not. By the way, these are people who, it's not like they got all kinds of money. Oh, this is my my chump change.
Right.
No, this was their retirement.
100%.
And so they, of course, they stayed with it because otherwise they don't have retirement. And they've gotten, I think they've been told about 40% of it recovered now. So we need 100% recovered. Don't know if we'll get there, but we need to keep pushing.
Well, I mean, if I have my timeline right, it's been a dozen years since Alan Stanford was convicted.
That sounds right, because I was in the House of Representatives, because I remember the House Financial Services Committee where the guy came and testified. So call that, 11, 12 years.
So handicap it for me. How close are we, timeline-wise, to seeing some of these people made whole?
Well, made whole, they got a long way to be made whole. But there is like $1 billion coming back from the latest recovery. And we're pushing to get more of that punitive damages as well.
So yes, made whole is kind of an overassumption. Able to pay for their retirements, I think, would be the right, the better wording of that question right there.
Yeah, and that's going to be individual circumstances.
Yeah.
Obviously, frankly, some people have probably died because these were people in retirement.
Yep.
And it's been that long. But still, people who I know, I see on a regular basis. People who are working Louisianians, they're asking me about it. So this is still affecting people.
He is Senator Bill Cassidy. We always appreciate the time and the update, sir. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. 8:15 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Quick break. Let's talk a little high school playoff football next. Bruh, the fact that Moon chooses not to pay attention during the campaign and say he's kissing his ass now is hilarious to me, because Senator Cassidy for the last 2 years now, and I'm gonna talk with Sean. I want to talk with Sean in person before diving into his handbook, but I don't want to blindside him with it. But somebody needs to ask a question. It probably needs to be me because I'm the only one who's fair. Somebody needs to ask a question. How do you reconcile working with a president that you voted to impeach twice? And I don't want a surprised answer. I don't want a stuttering on your heels answer. I want a good, thought out answer of how you plan to move forward, especially if he's going to run for re-election in 2 years. Oh. And I gotta knock out 2 live reads still. I'm gonna do one of them before you, if that's all right. Okay. You're shitting me. You telling me next weekend there's a good chance that St. Paul's gonna be in town? Oh, but you have their potential opponent highlighted. Yeah. Yeah. Go Wolves. Go. Get tough. Go Wolves. Yeah, we got to buy. I didn't realize we were paired up with Woodlawn, though. Woodlawn. Oh, I know what I need to look for. St. Michael, the Archangels, playing postseason football? Jesus. You consider Lusher to be local? I want to know your name. You just kill me. Could you not please do that? $8:19, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We're about to dive into some high school playoff football. But first, I need 60 seconds to tell you about the folks over at Vex European. Vinny and his team got things rolling over there. If you own a European vehicle, you owe it to yourself to hop on vexeuropean.com. I normally have the website open when I'm doing this, but my computer died on me, so the website's closed to me. Hop on the website, fill out the little form. Same day or next day service. And you don't just need Vex European when it comes to the major engine repairs. I'm talking about that everyday stuff, all the way down to an oil change, all the way down to a brake job, whatever. Check out vexeuropean.com. They offer specials quite regularly. But more to the point, you made an investment into your vehicle. You want to make sure you're maximizing performance, maximizing the longevity, maximizing all of it. That's where Vex European comes into play. I drive a 16-year-old car. I drive it. My car is almost old enough to vote. And it runs it like it's brand new because of Vinny and his team over at Vex European. Mercedes owners, BMW owners, Jaguar, Volvo, Land Rover. Pull up the list at vexeuropean.com. If you see your make on there, you owe it to yourself and you owe it to the investment you made in your vehicle to get yourself a little Vexpertise at Vex European. Time to talk high school football.
What about Dodge Stratus?
No, that is not a European vehicle. No, you cannot take a Dodge Stratus over there. Nor could you take a Pontiac.
Geo Metro?
No,
No.
Not a Geo Metro.
Ooh.
No, this is specialization.
What was the old Yugo?
I remember a Yugo, a Peugeot.
Yeah.
Remember a Peugeot? That was actually a European vehicle. I don't think Vinny will handle a Peugeot. He might handle
That
a
was the ones that
Fiat.
were really tiny, right?
Yeah,
They were,
yeah.
like, compact.
The Alfa Romeo. He might
Yeah.
do that
Ooh.
one for you.
Bugatti.
He does yeah. He does the exotics.
Yeah.
So like he's the creme de la creme, the master of the exotics.
Does he know Jim Bugatti?
I don't know.
No. Okay.
He calls them Boogs.
Yeah.
Boogs and Ven, they roll together.
They do a podcast.
They do. Boogs and Ven. Sundays on ESPN.
Yeah. They fill in for the regular guys. That would be cool.
It's only funny to people that work in radio.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
God. Okay. I'm sorry. Boogs and Ven.
Yeah.
Okay, the backstory here. Like the national radio guys on the sports side
From ESPN Wolf Creek in Oklahoma.
they've always got these backup guys who have these like random nicknames. So it's never, it's always this. Remember when Family Guy did Weenie in the Butt?
Yeah.
It's always similar to that, right?
It's yeah.
So good.
So now let's
Welcome
get serious,
here from
talk
104.5.
sports.
I know. From 104.5 ESPN. Here's Cade Voisin.
Hey.
Cade, what's the latest with you? Hi.
So they're set to have that meeting, I guess you'd call it, on Monday. The earliest that they would have it is the 18th, which is Monday. And from there, we'll find out if they're in the postseason. And so the way it was looking last week was they were going to potentially hold off releasing these brackets, which would have really put a strain on the whole playoff structure, because we would have not played this week, maybe potentially waited until the following week, which could possibly and would have possibly moved these championships outside of the Superdome, knowing the coordination that takes place. You can't just go, okay, hey, Superdome, can we get you next week? So they meet Monday. We'll decide if they're found to still be ineligible and must forfeit those games, then they'll just be eliminated from the postseason and we'll move forward. But
so to walk through this though, the way they're seated right now, if they're able to move forward, they would have a bye this weekend, correct?
That is correct, yeah.
Okay. So if they're eliminated or if they have to forfeit those games, the other teams don't look at a reseeding. It just looks at whoever plays that game before them
kind of gets
a second round bye.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was that was the other thought, is if they'd reseeded.
Yeah.
Because you got teams like Zachary who I was looking at here, they fell to this is just an example. They were projected to possibly be a 10th seed and maybe even play Denham Springs here locally. They fell to 14 because of this situation. This is a select Division I team, and you're talking about U-High being Zachary being a non-select Division I team, and U-High being in a completely different bracket, select Division II. But because of similar opponents and everything that goes into it in the power rankings, Zachary falls from 10 to 14. They have a first round game. They host against Sam Houston, but in the second round, they got to play Ruston, the team they played in the state championship last year. So that's how some of the stuff gets moved around and how it really affected, more than just the first layer of opponents.
And the thing of it is like, this is the backstory here is a couple kids transferred over to U-High.
Correct. Yeah.
And the paperwork wasn't filed properly or something to that effect.
There's forms that have to be completed. And it didn't seem like that paperwork was done. Now, the timeline on why that was reported to the LHSAA so late in the season is a question that I can't answer.
Right. But it's also, this isn't like kids cheated. The kids didn't do anything wrong, so you don't want to jam up the kids. But at the same time, though, you can't jam up the whole works to postpone the hearing and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like the show must go on, but this feels like the most pragmatic solution to make sure everyone's still moving forward.
Yeah. Getting these playoff brackets released over the weekend and then deciding we'll just,
Okay. That's the saga. That's the saga of U-High, one of many capital area teams that are in the postseason. Who else do we have our eyes on?
All right. So tonight, you certainly do have a couple of local teams with buys. So as far as the teams that are playing tonight, you got a rematch between Dutchtown and Walker. That was a game played in week 8, just a couple weeks ago, on the campus of Walker High School. Dutchtown won that 44-24, and now they are playing at Dutchtown tonight. So it's an interesting kind of rematch from just a couple of weeks ago. I'm very much looking forward to seeing. There was another matchup here. Baker and Donaldsonville is interesting. That's kind of on the fringe of the areas we cover. Coach Darnell Lee, who was the head coach of East Ascension last year, took over the job with the Donaldsonville Tigers. It'd be very interesting to see if they can get a playoff win here against a opponent right across the river there in Baker. If they win, they do have to play number 1 St. James next week.
Okay.
North Iberville is a very interesting story. So North Iberville is a team that's back in varsity football. The school closed, I think, around 2009 and just reopened 2 years ago. Went through that process of getting back into varsity sports, and they have had a really nice season. They are the 5th seed. They host Oberlin tonight and look to advance to the regional round of the postseason. So for Coach Josh Gast over there is the North Iberville Bears, who were kind of one of the fun stories this season. Looking around on the select side, we did have a final. Some games did get played last night. McKinley fell to Lake Charles College Prep 42-0. So Lake Charles College Prep will play John F. Kennedy in the second round. John F. Kennedy is a team that is not maybe very familiar to people in this area from the New Orleans area. A very good football team. They've improved year to year, had to forfeit some games earlier this year. And
they're going to play John F. Kennedy next Friday?
Yes. Lake Charles College Prep will.
Oh, my goodness. So John F. Kennedy's playing on November 22nd.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have all dates of everything.
It's just a bad date for John F. Kennedy in general.
Oh, well, yeah. Health and Human Services, though, right?
That's Robert.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's left the rails.
So look, as far as teams not playing this week, in the playoffs, really, it's all about the draw. You get, you can look at the seeding, but I think it's where you are in the bracket. If you're Dunham, you're the number 1 seed, went undefeated this year. The incredible young quarterback in Elijah Haven as an LSU offer as a sophomore. They're on a bracket where they could potentially face teams that have been very good this year. Notre Dame, Bunkie, Jules Sumner. If you're Catholic High, you got a little bit of a better draw on your side for select Division I, where you wouldn't really face, I think, a real challenge until the semifinals against, say, Carr. Now, in this championship, it would be a very tough. So it's
who's Catholic? Who's squaring off to take on Catholic for next week?
Next week they get the winner of East Jeff and Bonneville.
Okay,
and following that, it's probably a game against Rummel. So, it really does look. You look at what half of the bracket? Who are the teams I could potentially meet up with? On the other half of that bracket, Alexandria, a team who went through the 2-5A district up north with West Monroe, Neville, Ruston. Alexandria Senior High, also known as Ash, went undefeated in that district and went undefeated for the season, for that matter. And they're on the other side. So is Acadiana.
So they've got Evangel Christian coming up.
Yeah. So those
next week
would have to duke it out before they get to you. And that's why I'm talking about, where you're positioned, so to speak, on the bracket.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Woodlawn's playing at home tonight as well.
Woodlawn they will take on CE Bird for the right to take on the 6-5A district champs in St. Paul's.
Yes, sir. Out of
seed.
Covington, Louisiana, brought home the little brown jug last week by beating up on Covington after beating up on Mandeville.
Ken Sears been there, 55 years?
Ken Sears coached me. So, yes.
Yeah.
I'm old. I understand.
No, Ken's a good dude. And I know he's been there, a while, and that 6-5A is pretty competitive.
It's a very competitive district. Yeah. Let's see. All right, so with Catholic off this week, we don't have a game.
No game. Prep preview
no game
at 6, but we do have the scoreboard show tonight as well.
Of course, which the scoreboard show you'll catch on 104.5, but over on TV you'll catch it where?
On Your View.
Your View.
Yeah, Your View. So the Your View game tonight is Zachary Sam Houston. If you're watching locally, you'll catch that game. Jeff Palermo has the call, and we'll follow that broadcast immediately, either at 10 or immediately after the game is over if it goes past 10.
He is 104.5's Cade Voisin. We always appreciate the time, sir. While you got high school football scoreboard show going to be on 104.5 tonight here on Talk 107.3 FM. Kim Mulkey and her Tigers taking on Murray State, 7 p.m. tip-off right there. Yep. Murray State tonight, and then Troy on Monday. Your home for LSU women's basketball is right here on Talk 107.3 FM. All right.
Followed by Beanie in the gym.
We got to hit news, traffic, weather, and I believe Foodie Friday is next. Bruh, I don't know what happened there. I was all composed, like I was all.
What was it, Vinny and the what?
Bouge Vin.
Bouge Vin.
Bouge Vin.
Bouge Vin does sound something like
that is an ESPN show right there. You listen to Bouge Vin.
You got your guess.
Oh, cool. I was just about to call. Making sure we're good to go.
How y'all doing today?
Doing very well. How are you?
I'm all right. I hope you brought your appetite. Brought some good food.
I did.
All right.
All right, so we'll get all set up. Would you rather be on a headset or the microphone itself?
You tell me. It doesn't matter to me. I don't know which way to go.
Oh,
It's
good
my
Lord.
first time.
The speed of smell, y'all. Oh, it's already in. It's already in the house.
All right.
Let's get you on mic. Well, you work on mic first, and then we got to move around. We'll move around. Yeah, you set up. Do your thing.
All right.
Doug, what's your last name? Because I put you in my phone as Doug Chicken Shack.
Smith.
Doug Smith.
And what station am I going to be?
107.3.
107.3. All the family wants to know.
Tell them to hop on Facebook because you're live on Facebook as well. Yeah, 107.3's Facebook page.
Oh, sounded good. I thought I was going to be on radio today.
No, sir. No, sir. We show all the food off for the camera and all that other good stuff. So.
Man, that smells delicious.
I haven't called the menu number in a long time. Do y'all still do that
Yes, sir.
with the uplifting messages and
Yes,
whatnot?
sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
We even put 'em
I
on
want to do
Facebook.
that. I want to do that on air. Can we do that on air, just as a piece of the segment?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It should be up there by now. 8:30 is when we usually push it up.
You want me to call it?
I do. I want you to call
And
it.
then put
No,
it
I'll
on.
call it live on the air. What? Give me the number again, because it's been forever.
It is 338-90. Well, 338-9030 is the direct line. I think it's. Oh man, let's go. Hold on, I'm calling Troy right now. See what the main number is.
Three 3830940.
That's it.
All right. All right. Cool.
I'm sorry, Brian. That number.
Oh, I'm gonna do it.
Oh, you're gonna.
I'm-
Oh, okay.
Just make sure the phone's on and potted up.
Well, we'll do.
Hello? Troy. Hey, I was fellas up here at the radio station would like to know if you still got the menu and the message ready for on the phone right now. They want to get that on the radio. Oh, and I'm messing you up. All right. Yes, sir.
Oh my gosh!
All right.
I didn't realize what you had in your hand.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, I brought enough of the station, so I want to get everybody.
Oh my gosh, man.
Get those ESPN guys over here, get everybody on the floor.
Man.
Yeah, so I'm gonna bring some up to them because they're still live.
Wow.
I'll bring it up to them after we're done. But let me let sales know.
Had a little spillage, some gravy. We got oxtail smothered in gravy, and we got turkey wings smothered in gravy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Driving a little
What? So I've had turkey wings. You had mentioned
turkey necks.
I've
sorry.
never had turkey necks.
That's what
Okay.
we have. Turkey necks and oxtail. We have chicken and waffles for anybody who missed
Yes.
their breakfast. Anybody who wants to go straight to lunch, we got chicken. We got a chicken wrap, shack balls. We got red beans and rice, greens, yams, succotash. One of our
Yeah.
daily sides. Not daily sides.
Man.
And I brought in some sweet potato pie, lemon pie, a piece of chocolate pie, and a pecan pie.
God.
And this is why we can't lose weight in Louisiana.
There's no way. There's no way. Yeah.
Was Miss Judy at the front desk when you came in?
No, she was not.
Okay,
I was about to call you, but the guy let me on up.
good deal. Oh man. Oh, see, look at that! Look at that! Look at that! Hang on. This is going to be an important point of clarification during the segment. No, do you want? Oh, let's get a good lean on that.
Is that the chicken and waffle?
Chicken and waffles.
Chicken and
Man.
waffles,
Chicken and
which
waffles.
is the greatest.
You brought some
combination
syrup,
ever.
huh?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Two packs of
man.
syrup in there.
That's the butter.
Dang.
Can't have
Yeah.
the waffle without no syrup. And I bought the chicken wrap. I tried chicken wrap, but I didn't put any sauce on it. I brought ranch, I brought barbecue, and I brought honey mustard in case you want to split it down the middle.
We're gonna cut it.
That's the turkey neck. And this right here is the turkey wing. I mean, oxtail.
Oxtail.
Oxtail is not
Man.
easy to do. What am I up with weather? Oh,
Weather.
cooler start to your morning and a great weekend for high school football. To be sure, let's hope it's a great weekend for college football. If both here in town and in Gainesville. So here's what we got going on. Today's gonna be sunny with a high of 75. Overnight low gets down to 50. Tomorrow we'll top out at 78 with an overnight low of 63. Sunday, back to the 80s. High of 83 on Sunday, high of 84 on Monday. Here's the thing though. 90% chance of rain on Monday. Gonna have some thunderstorms to be sure. And that's going to cool it off again. While your high on Monday is 84, your high on Tuesday is only 79. Now, once it all clears out and the wind blows through and everything gets to be nice weather-wise again, your high on Wednesday is only 67 degrees. Your high next Thursday and Friday, 64. Right now, we're sunny skies. We're 58 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. All right. Do what? I do. Yes, sir. During the break. All right. Way overdue for this particular Foodie Friday segment. It is time to welcome in Mr. Doug Smith from Chicken Shack. Doug, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. Blessed and highly favored.
That's I'm so happy to have you in here today. This is long since overdue. All right, before we get into everything else that you've got going on in here, which by the way, and this is one of those ones where Emerald Lagasse used to always say on his cooking show, like if you had smell-o-vision,
Yeah.
if the audience at home could smell what's going on, the moment you opened up that bag that had the fried chicken in it, it's like it enchanted the entire room.
Yes, sir. The
It's
aroma is unlike no other.
It's ridiculous. You brought in a whole spread here. We'll get to all that in a little bit, but I want to start with Chicken Shack's story because
Okay.
I don't think everybody understands just how much of a staple y'all have been in Baton Rouge and for how long.
They don't. A lot of people don't realize next year is our 90-year anniversary.
Amazing.
We're the oldest concurrent running business
Mhm.
in Baton Rouge,
Mhm.
and we started 1935. My great grandfather came from New Orleans, Thomas H. Delpit. The street is actually named after him,
Mhm.
and he started Chicken Shack. It started out actually as a sweet shop.
Okay.
It wasn't a chicken shack. It wasn't about food. It was about sweets. And then it progressed into a restaurant. And then the chicken became our mainstay. And then, my great grandmother and him had 3 children. Well, 4. One didn't make it, but 3 children. And my grandfather, Joe Delpit, spearheaded the company and turned it into what it is today.
And as far as today's concerned, look, I know the North Acadian location. That's the one I go to, but y'all have a few locations around.
Well, right now we only have 2. We had one across from Southern, but the family members wasn't big enough to manage all of it. So right now we just got Acadian, we got 413 North Acadian, we got 3939 Pawtucket.
Okay.
And we also have a mobile unit, a Chicken Shack Express food truck.
I saw that on Twitter last night. I didn't know y'all had a food truck.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got a food truck. I was in Tennessee actually, expanding the business out there, but they needed me down here. They needed more bodies on the floor. So
understood.
Yeah, I'm coming back.
We got Doug Smith in from Chicken Shack. Doug, before we get into the menu and what y'all do and why you do it better than everybody else, there's something different at Chicken Shack that I came across, a couple of years ago. A buddy of mine told me I gotta call your menu line, and it's unlike anything. It's like call the menu, and I'm like, somebody's just going to read me what the specials are. And it's been a minute since I've called. Are y'all still doing the menu
Yes, sir.
with the messaging and all that?
Yes, sir, we are. As a matter of fact, we were doing the menu and the message on Facebook and Instagram, but we decided to just do the message on Instagram and Facebook. And, you know, like the menu, we do it a different way with pictures.
Right.
But the message.
Right, but if you call the number,
yes, sir.
if I call it right now, can I do that? Can I
call it right now.
All right, let's do this. In real time, on live radio. Let's go. I didn't get you a headset, so you can't even hear it.
Yeah, reach the Chicken Shack at 413 North Acadian Thruway. Thursday, November the 14th, the home of the knuckle sucking fried chicken
He must not have
and a
got it
new
up there
item
yet.
on the menu, that delicious apple cobbler. Today's lunch menu consists of 2 entrees. They are smothered pigtails, $11 plus tax, $10 of mother's love. Mother turkey wings, $12.25. Each entree is served with rice and gravy, cornbread or roll, and 2 side orders. Today's side orders are red beans, green lima beans, sprouted peas, mustard greens, candy yams, mac and cheese, peach cobbler, apple cobbler, potato salad, rice dressing, coleslaw, green salad. We also have homemade sweet potato pie and homemade lemon test pies. You wish to place an order from our lunch menu, our regular menu, or to speak with someone about our catering menu, our Thanksgiving menu, what we got? Fried turkey, baked turkey, smoked brisket, fried corned hens, stuffed bell peppers by Chef Tata. You can't get them nowhere else. All kind of desserts by Big Mama. All kind of side orders by Big Mama. You can get it here at the Chicken Shack at 413 North Acadian Thruway. All you need to do is hang up and dial 338-9030. That's 338-9030 or 329-6049. P.S. What an awesome and outstanding day it is to be alive and well and on the land of the living. God has truly smiled on us once again. It's been better to us. It's been to ourselves. We need to take time out to praise him and magnify his holy and wonderful name, for he's sure enough worthy to be praised. Remember, the Bible said that the race not given to the swift nor the strong, but he that endures to the end. You got to hang in there and hold on. You got to trust God through the process. Everything may not be going the way you designed it or the way you desired to go. But if you just hold on to the end, that's where victory is at. That's my opinion. Thank you. God bless you. Have a great and awesome day, whatever you do. And I mean whatever you do. Keep God first. Chicken Shack Chuckers. And stop by the home of the knuckle-sucking fried chicken.
Who's not ready to kick in the front door and tackle a day?
You know, now look, you heard what he said. Not keep God first, and second, not your mother, not your father, not your family, but Chicken Shack. He is something else, ain't it?
A friend of mine stumbled across that and told me about it, and it became a thing. Like every single day, every single day, just for the message. The menu is great. You run down the menu and you get hungry right away, right?
Right.
But once that message kicks in, it's like, oh, this just went to another place.
Yes, sir. And I want to remind everybody that was yesterday's menu.
Yeah.
That every Tuesday and Thursday is pigtails and turkey wings. Today on Acadian, we're having oxtails and smothered turkey necks. And on Pawtucket, we're doing oxtails, pigtails, gravy steaks, and I think that's it on our lunch menu over there.
All right. So let's start talking food now.
Let's talk about it.
I want to talk about the fried chicken a little bit, but let's start with the oxtail since that's one of the specials today.
Okay.
How does one prep an oxtail to make it palatable?
Ooh, now we need Chef Tata and Big Mama up in here because that I know a little bit about it. So they start cooking it the day before because you got to get those things tender.
Yes.
You got to get them tender. They bake them and they season them. And then what they do is they put the gravy on them and then run them back in the oven to get that gravy flavor running all through it.
Okay.
So it's like Troy say on the menu, it's tender as a mother's love.
Well, so if I'm hearing you right, you want to go on the scientific end here. You want to break down all the proteins first and then kind of re-inject all the flavor afterwards.
Yes, sir.
That is a process. I mean, that takes some care.
That's why they started yesterday.
Okay.
So that way today when they come in there, all they got to do now is just put that gravy on it and bake it in there. And that way, that flavors all the way through.
turkey. Okay, admittedly, I've never had a turkey neck before.
What?
Not
in Louisiana, you never had a turkey neck?
I've never had a turkey neck before. I've always,
Wow.
if I look at the turkey, I'm like,
You have not been to a proper crawfish boil, have you?
I like to think I have.
No, you have not. If you don't have turkey necks and neck bones and eggs and potatoes and corn on that, man,
Eggs, potatoes, and corn, yeah, but like turkey and crawfish boil, I didn't know. I've never.
You gotta have turkey
All
neck,
right.
neck bone. That's the meats. You know, like that crawfish ain't gonna fill you up. It just tastes good.
Well, no, you don't eat till you're full. You eat till you're tired.
Eat till you hate yourself.
Right. There's a level of
Until your
self-loathing
fingers
that
are
goes
just-
on. All right. So, what am I going to experience with the turkey neck? What can I expect here?
Oh, so once again, tender as a mother's love. All right, they're juicy, they're flavorful. Not a lot of meat, not as much meat or fat as the oxtail.
Right.
But you know, the meat is really good on there, and it's just juicy. I mean, like, to be honest, it's one of those things to me, just like kind of melts in your mouth.
Okay.
You know, it brings you back to some place like it's all the way back in your subconscious.
Right.
As a kid.
Okay. We're gonna walk through the chicken in just a minute because y'all do it better than anybody out there. But take me through a few of the sides. What have you brought in today? And
Today I brought in our famous red beans and rice, our mustard greens, some yams, and today they try to switch up a few sides almost every day on Acadian.
Right.
So today I brought in some succotash. You ever had succotash?
I have.
All right.
Succotash is underrated.
Yes, it is.
That
It really
little medley
is.
that goes in there.
It really is. So
All
I
right.
brought the succotash over there as a side. And you want me to move into the desserts, or you want to?
Yeah. What do we have over there dessert wise?
So dessert wise, we got our sweet potato pies, our lemon pies, and featured only at our Pawtucket location, pecan pies and peach cobbler pies.
Okay. So you've been like pecan and sweet potato are my jam. Those two. That's those pecan especially is why I'm fat.
Yeah.
No, it is. All right. Enough messing around. Y'all are the Chicken Shack. Tell me about the process. Give me a 2-minute version of the process on making the fried chicken.
Fried chicken. Wow. Okay. First step is to take that dry batter and make it wet. And then what we do is we put it base all our chicken in there. We don't want too much batter on there because we got a specific fry time that makes everything just come out just the way it needs to.
Okay.
Okay. So then after we do that, we get the batter on the chicken. We fry it for about roughly between 14, 15 minutes.
Okay.
And then we pull it on out and it's knuckle sucking good.
It's so amazing. All right, so getting the batter wet on the front end is important to the process because for the crispy end.
Yes, sir. Like that's what separates us from everybody else. While everybody else is old school, you know, ever since day one, you're frying chicken, you're dropping it in some flour and dropping it into the grease.
Right.
But you know, we perfected our flour with some with special herbs and seasonings, and then you know we wet that thing up to give it that extra special crunch. And yeah.
And it does. It comes out so crunchy. Absolutely. All right. I'm counting it down because when we go to break, we're going to break on air. But on Facebook Live, we keep going. That's where we do the whole dive in on the tasting of everything.
Okay.
And then we'll come back and do the review. We got a little bit less than a minute left. All right. It's going to be holiday time. Chicken Shack can help out to lighten the load a little bit in the kitchen, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got a holiday menu, like Troy was saying on the phone: fried turkey, baked turkey, smoked turkey, fried or baked turkey breast. We got Cornish hens. We could do fried or baked. We got stuffed bell peppers. We got brisket smoked. We got baked duck, baked ham, pork tenderloin, shrimp fettuccine. We got smothered turkey wings, cornbread dressing, rice dressing, potato salad, candy yams, seasoned green beans. You can get the gravy from us too. Mustard greens, red beans, mac and cheese. We got all sorts of cakes coming from Big Mama's Kitchen. Pineapple upside down cake, carrot cake, butter pecan, 7-Up jelly, rum, Italian, German fruit, coconut, lemon, blue, and red velvet.
And we will talk about where to order that when we get back. Right now, here's your money now. Damn, that timed out perfectly, though. Yeah. All right. So I know I need to try the turkey now. I'm gonna do it first.
Go ahead. I didn't even get to talk about the breakfast over there.
No, okay. You have chicken tenders here for your chicken and waffles.
Yes, sir.
All right, some people give the whole piece of chicken.
So, and that's fine.
But I don't like that because you're gonna go chicken or waffle. Like,
right.
I want to have both. I want that
you want to be able to make a sandwich out of it, kind of. You know what I mean?
Right.
Exactly. And that's me. I like to fold that thing, make me a nice sandwich. Yes, sir. I got forks right here.
I'm not even gonna try to be dainty about this. I'm just
go ahead and pick it up with your fingers then.
All right. What? Oh shit! It just comes right off.
That's why tender as a mother's love.
Oh,
Falling apart.
it just fell apart.
Took you back somewhere, right?
Yeah. Yep. Because no, it's just that's the dark meat of the turkey. Is all it is. I mean, it's it's so
that
good.
turkey neck. I'm telling you, it's tender. It's more meat than a lot of people think. You know, like when you think of a turkey neck, you're like, ain't nothing on there. There's something on there.
Cousin Eddie knew what he was talking about in Christmas Vacation. Save the neck for me, Clark. Oh crap!
Hold on, I got some boats now. We can share.
No, this is going to me only. No.
Byron says this is cruel to play for me. I love their food. So yeah.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, Byron.
Brian, we love you too.
Y'all, I'm surprised with the amount of meat on this thing.
Yeah.
All right, if I'm being honest, the reason I always stay away from a turkey neck is because you just think it's all
You think
bone
it's
and
all
cartilage.
bone. You think it's bone, like you said, cartilage. No, sir. It is some tender meat on there. And it's lean, hardly any fat.
That's another thing I'm getting at. Yeah.
No fat at all.
All right. Well, I've destroyed this. Holy shit. I mean, I can say that on Facebook. I can't say that on the radio.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But, all right, let me try that oxtail.
Try that oxtail.
And then I'll get into the tried and true with the chicken that we all know and love.
All right. Now, like I said, I had a little spillage.
All right. Now, I've most of the times that I've had oxtail, they overreach to try and make it too spicy. Spicy.
Now, you know, that's a Jamaican oxtail.
Okay.
That's a Jamaican oxtail. You know, and there's different flavors in that. This right here is just a southern oxtail smothered in gravy. Tell me about that shack ball.
Totally different.
Totally different, right?
Totally different.
We ain't worried about spice. We worried about nice.
What are the, like, I know you can't give away like secret recipes or nothing, but what is going into that? There's so many flavors all at once.
Once again, I am not privy to everything inside the chicken shack. That is Chef Tata, the great and infamous Chef Tata.
There's
Big
bell
Mama.
pepper. I can see the bell pepper right there.
See it.
But the flavor of the bell, they get a little sweetness off the bell pepper. It's bell pepper and onion to be sure.
Definitely. Gotta have your trinity.
Garlic is there, but not heavy.
Right.
But I can't tell what else I'm making out on this.
To be honest, I do not know the seasonings that go on it. Like I said, they bake it. I think I think they might go through a trifecta of boil, fry, bake. Because you got to get that thing tender.
Even in a boudin ball. The spice, the flavor in it. It lingers. That spice still lingering in the back of your throat.
That's why it's a shack ball, because we fried in our special chicken shack batter. You can't get that nowhere else.
No, you
could get a good boudin from almost anywhere, but you can't get it.
Good boudin balls, but that's different. That stays with you.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? So
Yes,
that's
sir.
that's good. Yeah, I took it all in one bite too, so it was all like just wow.
Yeah, why play with it?
Really good. Really good stuff. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I know, but it was just like a mouthful of flavor.
Yeah, normally a boudin ball does not look like the outside of the fried chicken. It's the same way it's battered and whatnot.
Yes, well, that is battered like our pork chop goes. The way it goes in the dry.
Okay.
That's it. And it's not falling apart. Like most boudin balls, you still got residue on your fingers and stuff like that. No, that is the way it's battered. And the way you'll see when you get it, the way that flavor just lingers. It
I
stays
love
with
that.
you.
I love that. Like you did the same thing. The bite, eyes roll back.
Like just
Take me home.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. And then the heat comes in after.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That spice is there.
Yeah. And it stays
way after. It's so good. Because you get to experience all the flavor of the pork. And your boudin is meat heavy.
Yes, sir.
I'm a big fan of a meat heavy boudin. I hate going biting.
Yes, sir.
I don't like a big rice ball.
Oh yeah. Who wants that?
Right.
Who wants that? We need to get full on some substance.
Oh
man.
Where we going next? Talk to me. Gotta get that chicken, right? What kind of piece of chicken would you like?
I mean, whatever's fine. Yeah,
And I got it all over here. Okay, I got 2 whole chickens over here. Breast, wing, leg.
Hit me with a breast.
Hit
Hit me with a breast.
with a
Let's do a breast. That's usually what I'll.
And you talk about that crunch on that thing, please. Let them hear
The
that
crunch
crunch.
is the crunch is beautiful. The crunch is perfect here.
What? And that chicken was prepared about 30, 40 minutes ago.
It's so perfect. 8:56 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We got a couple minutes left with Doug Smith from Chicken Shack. You'll find them on North Acadian. You'll find them on Pawtucket. All right, I'm full.
You better not
You
be.
brought way too much. No, you brought way too much. We're gonna have some folks down here after the
Okay.
show's over with to grab some samples. But all right, let's start off with I had never had a turkey neck before. I did not know that there was that much meat on a turkey neck.
Yes, sir.
Now
Yes,
it's
sir.
both dark meat and lean because there's no fat on a
No
turkey neck.
fat on a turkey neck.
That was heartier than I was expecting. Just tiny little bit of heat in there,
Mhm.
but whatever goes into like smothering the flavor back in, it's jam packed.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh my God, it was wonderful. All right, the oxtail. Now I've had oxtail a number of times, but I've always had a spicy oxtail. And you were telling me in the break that's a Jamaican oxtail.
Yes, sir. Jamaican oxtail is a big Jamaican dish. It comes with the rice and peas and your kalalu or your cabbage, stuff like that, and your plantain. But this right here is a southern oxtail. We smother that thing in gravy.
Completely different experience,
Right? Not spicy at all.
No, not spicy at all. There's a couple of flavors that pop out first and foremost. The bell pepper is very prevalent.
Right.
There's onion in there, and there's enough garlic in there, but the gravy maintains some kind of sweetness that goes along with it.
That's Chef Tata and Big Mama in that kitchen.
Okay, loving that. If you don't know Chicken Shack's chicken, then you don't know Shakespeare the way it's meant to be performed. There is a level of crunch that goes into that when you were talking about the process, that crunch pops very, very quickly. And when you talk about like how spicy should a piece of fried chicken be,
Right.
You don't want to overdo it,
Right.
because you want to taste the chicken.
Right.
So this is the spicy that you tell is a little bit of pop.
It's in there.
Enough
It's in there,
pop.
but
it's enough pop.
It's not enough to say it's spicy.
Right.
Right.
But it's definitely flavorful. Also had a boudin ball during the break.
Shack ball. That is a shack
excuse me.
ball.
Excuse me, shack ball. Now, I'm a boudin ball snob overall. All right.
Okay.
So if I can't taste the black pepper, then it's worthless.
Mhm.
And if it's just a ball of rice, it's worthless.
Mhm.
The shack ball is meat heavy.
Yes, sir.
I like a meat heavy boudin ball, and that's first and foremost. Number two, we got 1 minute. Snap. Okay, well then I'm gonna shut up and let you talk about where folks can go to get all this deliciousness.
413 North Acadian Thruway, 3939 Pawtucket. Now on Pawtucket, we feature a breakfast. We do breakfast and we do chicken and waffles, which is served all day long. We got chicken wraps, grilled and fried. We got Big Shack Fried Shack sandwich, grilled and fried. We do po' boys, fish and shrimp. We do what else?
The phone number for the Thanksgiving orders.
Phone number for Thanksgiving orders. We got 338-9030, or you can call 329-6049.
He is Doug Smith with Chicken Shack. Stick around on Facebook. We're gonna go a couple extra minutes to make sure we finish everything out on air. We got to get you to Moon Griffon. Moon Griffon is highly jealous right now. I'm guaranteeing it. Doug, thank you so much for a couple minutes,
Thank you
man.
for having
This has been fantastic.
Thank you for having me.
Y'all have a great weekend. We will see you on Monday.
Whatever you do, keep God first and Chicken Shack second.
All right, so we're still on Facebook Live.
I'm gonna get some of these sides.
Yes. And I want to go downstairs and grab the big knife so I can cut the wrap into pieces.
Yes,
so
sir.
when people come down to sample in a second. But I want to try. Let me try the.
Let's see. We got yams. We got red beans and rice, mustard greens, and we got some succotash. Now those beans gonna have a little kick.
Hope so. Oh, the succotash is darker than I'm used to.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's a vegetable medley right there.
That's not a North Canadian joke. You just caught that.
Look, somebody said, did he just say keep chicken first? I mean, God.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. I did.
Christ and chicken.
Christ, that's
it, man.
that's the new
That's
one
it.
right there. We're
That's
gonna
it.
use that.
Well-
Christ and chicken.
Why do you think an altar is called the table of the Lord? I mean, that's everything's based off the Last Supper.
That's right. That's right. We gotta have supper. Bring it. God brings you in. The food keeps you there. There you go. There you go. And please don't be.
Yeah,
I gotta say room for dessert.
I know we got. Yeah, I know. I just know we got more people. I just want to try to taste a little bit of everything. But
You gotta have some of that dessert.
Oh, yeah.
All right, y'all. The yams are on point because they're sweet, as they're supposed to be. They're not trying to do something that they're not.
Man.
Doug, how much of this is like actually sitting back and letting the food do its thing rather than trying to over manipulate it?
One thing I do love about Chicken Shack, and the sides particularly,
Mm-hmm.
is that you're not gonna get the greens tasting like the succotash. The red beans aren't gonna taste like the lima beans or the butter beans.
Right.
It all has its individually own taste. And like I said, Chef Tata and Big Mama, they in that kitchen. I'm sorry. They're in the kitchen from 3:30 in the morning sometimes, cooking it up, creating great things for us.
The succotash is so good.
Right?
It's so good. And with that sausage rounding it out.
Right?
That's a different, like, because you got like the corn sweet, the
Mhm.
lima bean is not, it's not overtaking it.
Right.
And then the sausage is kind of in the background doing the whole thing, but the way it
So
meshes
what
all
about that
together.
okra?
Oh,
Did you
yeah.
notice
Yeah,
how the
yeah.
okra in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
That is so good. That might be my favorite.
I love that. When I walked over there, because I had to get the turkey necks. I remember you didn't try them. I had to get the turkey necks from a Cade.
Oh, okay.
All the rest of the food came from Pawtucket.
Mm-hmm.
So when I seen that succotash, I was like, oh no, that has to come with me too.
Yeah, that's the winner, y'all. That's the pro tip of the day.
This
Just get-
chicken though is so crispy.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, I personally cooked that chicken. Let's see, it came up about a little bit before 8 o'clock. And
All
it
right.
still holds that crunch, that
You
flavor.
can probably hear it.
Facebook, yeah. Whatever you're doing on the sides, make sure you get the succotash. Is succotash on the Thanksgiving menu?
It is not.
Ah.
It is not. But Chicken Shack on Acadian goes above and beyond with pleasing their customers. So if that's something y'all want, talk to Troy Carter, and he'll probably make it happen for y'all.
Yeah, I would put together a couple quarts of that for the family for sure. We got to get out of here, y'all. We will see y'all on Monday. Again, North Acadian, Pawtucket, you know where to find them. Just fantastic stuff. Great job today, Doug. Thank you so much
for having me.
No, absolutely. We'll see y'all Monday.